RC-TV, Channel 2, Houston.
The National Broadcasting Company presents the National Football League. Today, from the Pontiac Silverdome, it's the Houston Oilers versus the Detroit Lions. Brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. And by MCI, communications for the next 100 years.
For the first time in 26 days, it is not raining in southern Michigan, and what a welcome respite that is for thousands in the Detroit area. But of course, weather not a factor in the Pontiac Silverdome as we prepare for an interconference matchup today between the host Detroit Lions and the Houston Oilers. Hello everyone, I'm Gary Gerould, along with former NFL wide receiver Butch Johnson, and our matchup today features teams who are trying to shake off recent weeks of frustration. Butch, let's start with Houston. Great preseason, unbeaten, got off to a great start at Green Bay in their season opener when they beat the Pack, but then they've lost 3 in a row, and a lot of people now are frankly wondering, is this team any better than the mediocre Houston teams of recent years?
Well, Houston, you have to look at their defense. They're the #1 rated defense in the AFC right now, and they've allowed quarterbacks to only complete 35% of their passes. Offensively, there's Warren Moon, the strong-arm quarterback who can throw on the run as well as anybody can, and he has 2 gifted receivers in Ernest Givens, outside world-class speed, and Drew Hill, who had 1,000 yards receiving last year. And one has to wonder if their record is a little worse than what they are right now as a team.
Detroit, on the other hand, also got off to a very good start, a road win at Minnesota, but then they've lost 3 in a row. They've had some injury problems, and they've come into the disfavor of their fans here at home.
That's true, and Detroit is the type of team whose defense is good. They've kept them in the ball games each week, but those injury problems have been injury-riddled in their offensive line. They traded with Houston recently this week for Harvey Salem to try and sew up those problems. Eric Hipple, the big gun. This guy has completed 31 passes 2 weeks ago and 33 passes this prior week for a team record. And I would say it indicates to me that they have a pretty good team also, and they're ready to get on the good track.
And we're ready to kick it off right now. The 4th meeting between these clubs, the first time ever for the Oilers to visit the Pontiac Silverdome, and it'll be Houston kicking off. Handling the kicking chores, of course, Tony Zendejas. We're underway in Pontiac. No run back as Herman Hunter fields this one about 8-9 yards deep in the end zone. So Zendejas does a terrific job of kicking the ball deep, and Eric Hipple leads the Lions onto the field. James Jones, you heard Butch say, the workhorse. Gary James, the rookie in the backfield. Bland, Chadwick, and Lewis are the receivers for the Lions. Offensively, Steve Kenny is a starter at left guard in place of Scott Barrows, and the Lions have had real problems with injuries this year. Harvey Salem got his first start just last week with 2 days of practice. He'll work from the right guard position. He played on the left side of the offensive line when he was with the Houston Oilers. 1st and 10, just underway at Pontiac, Michigan. The Lions and the Oilers. Bland in motion, and Hipple drops back to throw on the first play of the game. Running out of the pocket, hit hard after a 2-yard gain. Eric Hipple nailed that time by Ray Childress as we take a look now at the Houston defense for this contest. The down lineman, Childress, Mike Golick starting in place of Doug Smith, who's had a neck injury the last couple of ball games, along with Richard Byrd. Your linebacking core, and the change here has Johnny Meads going for Frank Bush. And what a tragic note, as Bush had to give up his football career because of that cervical sprain suffered last week. Brown, Allen, Bostic, and Eason, some hard hitters in the defensive secondary for the Oilers. Hipple handing off this time to Jones, straight ahead, gets only a yard or 2 as the Houston defense sags in, led by Johnny Meads, who comes in from the right corner.
Well, Eric Hipple came right out and started throwing the ball. He was trying to go deep in the corner position to Jeff Chadwick, number 89, the fine receiver. Reminds you a lot of Steve Watson, the receiver for the Denver Broncos, and he just didn't get him. Houston laid back in the zone, and he was unsuccessful in that attempt.
3rd down situation coming up for Hipple. They've gone to 3 wide receivers as Leonard Thompson has come into the lineup, and Herman Hunter is now in the backfield replacing Gary James. They've been concerned about James' ability to pick up the blitz. We'll see if the Oiler defense is coming this time. Here is the blitz. Hipple to throw, just gets it away, and it's dropped at the 29-yard line. Carl Bland, the intended receiver, and Hipple up off his backside as the Houston pressure was there as anticipated.
Oh, it's man-to-man coverage right there, and Carl Bland, Eric Hipple just went to him, read the blitz very clearly, but Carl Bland dropped the ball. He was cut 2 times, Gary, last year, and you can see by that, in that instance, of why he didn't catch the ball, I don't know, but you'd like to see a receiver come out immediately, catch the ball, and then go from there.
Mike Black handles the punting chores for the Lions. And in the deep spot is Willie Drury at the 35-yard line. Black with time gets off a kick, but it's not a good one. Across midfield, takes a big bounce, and Drury goes to work from the 36, bumped out of bounds at the 42 or 3-yard line.
Well, special teams has really been their problem, and Mike Black, he really has a problem in the last few games kicking out of the end zone. And you can see in that case, he did the same thing. Didn't come out with a good kick, Gary.
Warren Moon brings his offense onto the field for the first time. Rozier and Butch Woolfolk will start at fullback in place of the injured Larry Moriarty. Drew Hill, Ernest Givens, the fine rookie, and Jamie Williams, the tight end. Interior line, you've got 4 number 1s here. Matthews, Munchak, Pennison, who is a first-year player, Hill, and Steinkuhler. Working from the 41-yard line, short of the 42, Rozier, who's been the workhorse on the ground for the Oilers in Jerry Glanville's scheme this year offensively, carries out close to the 45. Taking a look at the Detroit defensive lineup here in their first series on the field. The down linemen, Ferguson, Williams, and Gay. Linebacking core, Jimmy Williams, who's a fine player, works on the left side. Harrell and Maxwell now both playing inside after being outside backers in the past, along with Michael Kofer. And the defensive backs, Bobby Watkins has a sprained foot. There was concern about whether or not he would start. He is there, along with Demetrius Johnson, Devon Mitchell, and Bruce McNorton. Stopped for a loss that time as Mike Rozier back close to the 41-yard line, and Mike Kofer was there to meet him head-on. Good heads-up play defensively. Butch.
Very good play, and Butch Woolfolk was lined up in the slot position that time. And instead of him crashing, instead of him going out on Butch Woolfolk in the running position, he slides inside and makes the great play. And we expected Mike Kofer and the linebacking crew of Detroit to hold back and not blitz as much as they've already shown just the first play they come in.
3rd down and close to 12, and so the Lions have gone with 6 defensive backs now as Moon with an obvious passing situation. First series for the Oilers. Pressure, fires over the middle, completes the pass just across midfield. Drew Hill bumped out of bounds by Bruce McNorton. And it's going to be close. Let's see. Should have the first down. The Oilers have just been awesome this year on 3rd down completions. And here's a first key one of this ball game.
Well, 3rd down efficiency is where Warren Moon has excelled this year, and you can see Drew Hill just picking up the first down. They completed 15 out of 19 3rd down completions, and it's probably the highest ratio right now in the NFL. Drew Hill, a 1,000-yard receiver last year, and Warren Moon will look for him in crucial situations.
Moon backpedaling, fires over the middle, completes it to the tight end Williams inside the 40, close to the 38-yard line. James Harrell there with the tackle. Jamie Williams, a big man at 6'4", 245 out of Nebraska. A lot of Nebraska players on the Houston roster.
Warren Moon, you can see him right there, number 1, the quarterback. He was complaining because they weren't throwing on first down as much, and they came right off the bat in the second series that they have right here and completed a pass to Jamie Williams, who wasn't catching passes earlier this year.
Houston fans on the team heavy last week in the loss to Pittsburgh because of that. Here's Rozier now inside the 35, and the Oilers clearly moving the ball on this Detroit defense. Another first down as Vernon Maxwell was there with the tackle. Ball will be spotted at about the 33-yard line. And you get a good look at Rozier as he comes back into the huddle.
3rd leading rusher right now in the AFC, and he's performing very well. He's their workhorse in the backfield, and with Moriarty hurt, he's going to continue to carry the ball off that right side where Mike Munchak is playing, number 63.
Rozier is the lone setback at the moment behind Moon as he awaits the snap. Now backpedals, looks to throw. Down the middle, this one out of the hands of the intended receiver at the 22-yard line, Ernest Givens. Bobby Watkins providing defensive coverage over there.
Givens is a fine receiver. He's ran a 4.36. You can see him right here, number 81. He pushes the defensive backs down the field and just turns out quickly. Ball was thrown a little bit to the outside. Possibly he could have caught that ball, but he's a short receiver, Gary. He's 5'9", and sometimes those short receivers can't come up with those big plays. He has great speed, though.
And as you see from the graphic, got his first touchdown last week in the loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's 2nd and 10. Moon hands off this time to Woolfolk. No place to go here. Eric Williams with good penetration, the nose tackle that time, slipping through the offensive line, and he was right there to meet Butch Woolfolk head on.
Well, you know, when we talked to Coach Gerould Rogers of Detroit yesterday, he wasn't really very high on his defensive line, but you can see a quick move by Eric Williams that time to get into the backfield. And, I tend to question, maybe they do have a little offensive line play, and they're going to be a little more aggressive than what they played the last 3 weeks.
Lions now have 7 defensive backs, and you see the numbers on third down conversions for the Oilers. It's been very impressive this season. Moon needs 12. Down the middle,
yes.
There he is inside the 15-yard line. Willie Drury on the receiving end, and another first down. And aren't the Oilers something? Wow.
Mike Drury lines up in the slot here, and it's really a zone coverage, and he beats the zone. He runs through the middle. He's picked up by the safety, number 40, Dwayne Galloway, who comes in as a 5th defensive back, and he just sits it right in there in the middle.
So the Oilers now 2 for 2 in third down efficiency in this ball game as they keep the drive alive. Here's Woolfolk straight ahead inside the 10 to about the 9-yard line. Houston, when they've been inside the 20 this year, has scored 10 of 11 times. They've had possession inside the 20. 4 of the 10 times have been touchdowns. 6 times have produced field goals. Right now the ball spotted just shy of the 9-yard line. 9:11 to go in the first quarter, just underway. No score at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. The Lions and the Oilers. Fans very unhappy as the Lions have lost 4 consecutive home games, 2 last year, 2 this year. Watching Rozier try to work on the right side. Right now stopped by Mike Cofer. And of course we'll be checking our 10-minute ticker throughout the day today to keep you posted on activity around the league. New England with a field goal advantage over Miami, the only score in the first panel of games, and some of the other contests that we'll be eyeing. Still no score in any of these games, just underway.
Gary, have you noticed how they've been running off that right side? Running off the right side with number 74 Bruce Matthews at the tackle position, and Mike Munchak, 2 number 1 draft choices they have in that line, and been very impressive over there. I haven't seen them come to the weak side yet where Ken Hill has been starting.
Pinkett in the backfield as Moon wants to throw, fires, and isn't a touchdown. A ball knocked away. It's incomplete, and what a hit in the defensive secondary by Devon Mitchell, the rookie. Woolfolk, the intended receiver, and Mitchell said, "How do you do?" The rookie knows how to play the game.
Well, it was a zone coverage, and Moon looks off to the left, comes back to the right, and he splits the zone. Looks like he should have caught the ball. But Devon Mitchell, the rookie, who they've been very impressed with since training camp, comes in, knocks the ball out at the last minute, puts his helmet actually on the ball.
So a field goal attempt. You see Zendejas, who's been perfect this year, from 25 yards out. He's got another one. So 7 for 7 this season for Tony Zendejas out of the University of Nevada, Reno. And the Houston Oilers, moving the ball impressively, have taken a 3-point lead over the Detroit Lions.
Hi, can I have a light?
This Halloween, don't just ask for a light beer. Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light! Oh.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Thank you!
Look for this Fright Night display where you buy Bud Light and win a monster of a trip to one of your favorite haunts.
Next year, a costume party. Oh! Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
It's the rhythm on the road. It's the pulse on the street.
Pulse on the street.
City and town of magic sound.
Feel the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet.
That's today, Chevrolet.
We're MCI, racing hard to be your communications company. We never coast. We're geared to win. MCI competes internationally, offering you the world's most extensive range of voice, data, and messaging services. Our competition is good. We have to be better. And because we compete, you win. MCI, communications for the next 100 years.
Back at the Silverdome, Pontiac, Michigan, a Zendejas field goal of 25 yards has given Houston the early lead as the Oilers took the ball and marched it down the field. They had good field position after a relatively short Mike Black punt of 41 yards and a 6-yard return. We understand that Bobby Watkins has been injured or has re-injured that foot, and we'll be trying to update that situation. Whether or not he'll be able to play anymore in the Detroit defensive secondary, we're not sure. Here's the kickoff now by Lee Johnson, high end over end. This one's short. Going to be taken at the 14-yard line by Herman Hunter. Got lots of room on the left side. Can't get around the corner. Got out close to the 30-yard line. Herman Hunter with a burst of speed with a 17-yard return gets it out close to the 30, and the Lions will go to work once again. As you take a look at the statistics for Eric Hipple, that 65.6% completion rate is the best in the NFL, as you see, in 4 games that have been played thus far.
Well, he's going to be testing. Eric Hipple, number 17, is going to be testing that Houston Oilers defense. They're rated number 1 in pass defense, and they've been very successful. They play a lot of man-to-man coverage, and let's just see what he does coming out the first play of the game.
1st and 10 now. Lions second possession. Didn't have any success first time with the football. Breaking a tackle, James across the 30 to the 35-yard line and bumped down at the 36. Bostic coming across to make the tackle for Houston that time. Bostic, the strong safety, known as Batman and the Batman-Robin combination. And there's a look at the rookie Gary James from LSU.
Well, they drafted him this year thinking that he can give them the outside threat with the loss of their great all-pro running back, Billy Sims, last year. You can see the opening play, which impressed me there, as he broke a tackle and then got back to the outside. You would think that he would be the weaker of the two and just be able to go outside and not break tackles.
Gain of just over 6. We'll call it 2nd and 4 for Detroit at the 36-yard line, their own territory. Hipple, the pass. Under pressure, throws one away on the left side. Tight end David Lewis was the intended receiver. The boos cascading down here from the Silverdome crowd. And that's become rather common, we understand, in recent Lions ball games.
In defense of Eric Hipple, he was trying to go deep on the left side to number 89, Jeff Chadwick, but Patrick Allen, number 29, the cornerback, had him completely covered, and it just didn't work out. He had to come back underneath, and looked like it got a little deflected in there to me, Gear.
Hipple was very concerned when we talked with him yesterday about the pressure that Houston can put on a quarterback, as they have all season long. And once again, a 5-man, 6-man rush, ball knocked away, almost intercepted. Almost coming up with a football that time was Lynn Madsen. Madsen made a dive, and he almost got it off the ground. Number 98, you see him going off across the way. And we'll take another look.
He just goes off a slant block, rolls around. You can see the pressure. They're just dominating in the offensive line. He makes a great play coming around that offensive tackle. And that was Abraham, who is the leading tackler, number 56 for the Houston Oilers. He's been playing pretty solid all year.
Mike Black, back in punt formation, stands at his own 22. 41 yards in the first one. This is a beauty. Long, deep spiral. Back to the 16-yard line is Willie Drury. Some room on the right side across the 20. Now he's hemmed in and thrown back to the 18. Looked like Drury might have a picket line on the right side, but the Lions closed it down. The Lions special teams have really taken some heat in the last couple of weeks. This time a 48-yard punt by Mike Black. We'll be back.
When we want to work up a sweat, nothing works like this full-size Chevy pickup. It's got the muscle of a fuel injector, 350 V8. And it's available on every full-size Chevy. It's got the strength of girder main front suspension. Where? Oh, there. Plus double wall construction. So when you need a tough working partner, nothing works like a Chevy truck. Nothing. Yeah? Yeah. Right?
You know, the weirdest things happened to me, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I mean, here I am stocking up for Halloween. I got my steaks, got my ribs. Then when I asked the stock boy where the Coors Light is stacked, he points me to the Coors and Coors Light Halloween display, and I'm on it. Whoa, it was like deja vu. Whoa, it was like deja vu. Look for it where you buy beer. I shop here because they slash prices. There goes another one. Happy Halloween, darling.
When
When the big Q flows, America goes.
You the Mr. Bailey that's selling the car?
You buying?
Depends. How's it run?
Great. Always on Quaker State.
That's good.
Quaker State means performance. You could depend on quality.
I've heard that.
One-of-a-kind formula. Stable viscosity. Keeps flowing. Protecting.
You sold me.
The core?
And the oil.
Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
At the Silver Dome, it's a distinct pleasure to be able to welcome to our NBC announce team Butch Johnson, 10 years in the National Football League, and we've gone back and we've found some tape. 1976, wide receiver as a kick return specialist with the Dallas Cowboys. Quite a different feel up here, I would imagine.
Oh, it is. I was a little heavier in those days. I was like 205, but I managed to cut my weight down to 185. You can see right there running down the sidelines. You had to dig in the archives. Our producer, David Katz, had to in order to find that play.
Nice return, by the way, on that one. Warren Moon and the Oilers go to work now from the 20-yard line out across the 20. Mike Rozier picking up a couple here the tough way. Houston with a 3-0 lead early in this one. We have 6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Gary, I was impressed by their opening drive, the Houston Oilers. They were able to move down the field by passing and running, and they had some complaints that they were running the ball on first and second down during the course of their last 3 games. Here in the first drive, we saw them pass the ball, run the ball. They switched it up and kept Detroit Lions off balance.
Larry Moriarty not playing thus far in this ball game because he's been injured. Butch Woolfolk in his place carrying now. Gets a couple of more as he works the right side of the line, and time for us again to be checking our 10-minute ticker as we'll be doing throughout this contest from the Silver Dome. We have Kansas City now with a field goal advantage over the Raiders. They have the latest team to score. New England still 3 up in Miami. St. Louis has added a field goal against the Giants. No score between Washington, New Orleans, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. And scoreless also Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Green Bay. 3-0 our tally here. Houston on a 25-yard Zendejas field goal with the lead over the Lions, and the Oilers with the football. Warren Moon looking down the middle, complete at the 40-yard line, pulling it in and on the move is Ernest Gibbons, and the speedster is quickly into Detroit territory at the 43. Dwayne Galloway had a shot but was unable to pull him down. Bruce McNorton came up with a tackle, and let's take a look at Ernest Gibbons in action.
Houston Oilers were, Detroit Lions were in man-to-man coverage, and Ernest Gibbons with that great speed, 4.36 speed, breaks across the middle, and you can see the speed he accelerates down the field. If it's not for the free safety who makes the play, number 21, Demetrius Johnson from Missouri, they would have had it.
30-yard pickup, and Moon wants more. Penalty marker down, completes the pass at the 37-yard line. Mike Rozier coming out of the backfield, pulled that one in. Rozier has been used as a pass receiver 11 times thus far this year coming into the ball game. As we indicated, however, penalty marker down, and Tom Dooley, our referee, will be giving us the indication. The offsides is the initial indication, and he'll clarify that for us momentarily.
77 defense. First down.
Keith Ferguson guilty of the infraction, so it's a first down for the Oilers. And incidentally, that 30-yard pickup to Gibbons marks 3 consecutive third downs that the Oilers have been able to convert. So that league leading percentage actually tied with Atlanta coming into this one, certainly being maintained. 4.5 minutes to go first quarter. Houston with the football and a 3-point lead as Warren Moon continues to bark out the signals. Here's Rozier, right side, got a hole. Gets to the 35-yard line, but he'll be short of the first down by about a couple of yards. Jimmy Williams with the tackle as an outside backer for Detroit. See Kent Hill there, number 72, coming back into the huddle. Hill, of course, has been with the ball club only a couple of weeks now.
And Dean Steinkluder, number 70 on that right side. They're running strong to the all-pro Kent Hill, and it's been very impressive, the right side. I'm curious when they're going to go left.
Well, they come left right now. Woolfolk gets a block. He has the first down inside the 30-yard line. It looked like Rozier set the block for Woolfolk that time, coming to the left.
And Butch, we didn't think that he was going to be running the ball too much. We thought he was going to be a pass receiver, but you see his quick outside speed and a little power coming from the New York Giants last year in a trade. He's established in Houston. He can catch the ball as well as run the ball, but primarily used as a passing running back.
Only the 3rd time he's carried the ball this year, and you could see that Mike Kofer, the linebacker, was fooled as he tackled Rozier. First down, pass knocked away and not quite intercepted. Demetrius Johnson had a shot on the deflection. The intended receiver was the tight end Jamie Williams.
Well, that's the first bad pass I've seen Warren Moon make today. It was his own coverage, and Jamie Williams were surrounded by linebackers. And I don't think he really should have thrown the ball. I saw Butch Wofold go out in the flat. There was nobody that picked him up. And he might have wanted to hit that flare pass, but going into Jamie Williams where there's a crowd of people was a little dangerous.
Moon 4 of 7 now as he faces 2nd and 10. He's already passed for 72 yards here in the first quarter. Handoff this time goes inside to Pinkett. Pinkett carries for the first time in the ball game. The rookie from Notre Dame. It's a couple of yards, but it's going to be 3rd and long yardage situation again for the Oilers, who have been brilliant in the 3rd down efficiency department. James Harrell making the tackle that time. Harrell, incidentally, is an inside linebacker for the Lions. You can see that his hands are taped up, has a broken bone in his hand. Butch, you were talking with him yesterday.
I talked with him earlier, and he said that the only problem that gives him is not being able to catch a ball in interception. But linebackers don't normally have to make interceptions. They normally have to make tackles. So it hasn't really given him a problem as far as tackling, but trying to catch the ball is very difficult for him.
Lions pull the linebackers out. They go to 7 defensive backs. Moon out of the shotgun. Looking deep. Was he inbounds or out of bounds? Drew was the receiver, Drew Hill. And this one won't go for the Oilers. Running to the near sideline.
You can see that Drew Hill goes out, sits in the zone very well, and Warren tries to come over, but his feet, he just comes up as the ball is going up. If he had tried to catch the ball with his hands, maybe he would have had a chance to keep his feet in, but he jumped and tried to cradle the ball, and that made his feet come up, so he wasn't able to keep his feet in order to catch the pass.
Zendejas, who had an earlier 25-yarder, now tries from 46. And he's got another one. No, this one is not good. I'm sorry. I thought I saw that it slipped through there. That's his first miss of the year. So the Oilers moved the football, couldn't come up with any more, but still lead the Detroit Lions 3-0.
Who has transformed video cameras, making them more compact, simpler, more colorful, more fun? Who? RCA, with the new Pro Wonder camcorder, the camera and recorder that uses standard VHS cassettes plus solid-state technology for brighter, more colorful memories. Pro Wonder. If you settle for less than RCA, that's exactly what you'll get.
Houston coach Jerry Glanville on the sideline has seen his club roll up 6 first downs, but only 3 points to show for it. Zendejas, who hit early from 25 yards, missing from 46, his first miss of the year. Darryl Rogers in his 2nd year as the Lions coach, crouching on the near sideline. The Lions yet to generate a first down in this first quarter. Hipple with a little play action move, wants to throw deep down the middle, and it's picked off. This one's picked off by Bo Eason. At the 30-yard line, he goes out of bounds. And listen to the boos now cascade down as Eric Hipple throws a bullet right into the arms of Bo Eason.
Well, Eric, I don't believe should have thrown that pass right there. He was trying to hit number 89, Jeff Chadwick, and he just overthrew the ball. Chadwick was open. He was in the hole. He had defeated man-to-man coverage.
Well, the boos now turn to cheers because a roughing the passer call has been called against Houston, and so Detroit will retain possession.
It was man-to-man coverage. Number 89, Jeff Chadwick, was trying to cover. Hipple throws the ball, but it's clearly over Jeff Chadwick's head, and Bo Eason of the Batman Robin team comes up with the interception. Now, I think if he had thrown the ball a little shorter, obviously, it would have been a big play for them, but it just came off his hand at the wrong time.
We'll get a look now at the penalty, because as he got the ball away, you could see him at the top right of the screen getting leveled.
By
So
Avon
Detroit,
Riley, number 53.
Riley with the call. Plenty of pressure that time. The ball was poorly thrown. There was no question about it, but the Lions still have it. Hipple misses again. Lewis, the intended receiver, the tight end, was the short man that time. And more boos from this crowd. Estimated today to be in the 40,000 range, and a lot of empty seats here in the Silverdome. This is a facility that will accommodate some 80,000 for football.
Gary, that's the second play. I know Gerould Rogers has to be a little concerned. You see him on the sidelines. That was the second pass that was overthrown. Now, David Lewis was open on that particular play. Number 87, they're tied in. And all you had to do is hit him, and he had good running room, maybe 5 or 6 yards away from the defensive linebacker that was defending him.
And the last couple of weeks, as you mentioned early in the show, Hipple had been nothing short of sensational. 31 of 46 with no touchdowns 2 weeks ago against Tampa, and then 33 of 48. Firing deep this time, doesn't quite come up with it. He had Jeff Chadwick streaking down the right side, and as a wide receiver, you got excited about that possibility.
Well, I had to, because I saw Jeff Chadwick wide open on that play. And I guess because of the last 2 throws that he's made, he's taken a little bit off this ball. You can see Jeff Chadwick 4 yards in front. He takes something off. Still, the receiver had a chance to catch that ball. A receiver has to come up with plays like that. That's why he gets paid, to make the big plays and make the big adjustments. And Chadwick didn't do it, but Hipple did take something off the ball.
Chadwick now goes out far to the left side. They've got 2 receivers split out wide. He's with Carl Bland as Hipple looks in that direction, and now Chadwick in motion, cuts upfield. The blitz on again, firing deep. Chadwick hit the 14-yard line. Chadwick pulls it in, and the boos turn to cheers. Penalty marker, however, is down once again, back near the line of scrimmage. Bo Eason with the tackle, as that time Hipple got the ball, and this one is going to come back. So the Lions are having a real tough time generating an offense.
Well, you have to be sad in Chadwick's case because he runs a good corner, runs a good route. The ball is laid up very nicely where he can make the play, and you get a holding penalty that makes it come right back. Gerould Rogers has to be a little upset. I know he has to be perturbed because, you know, he's trying to get his team pumped up. He's trying to get them coming to keep going, not get torn out.
Illegal motion against Chadwick was the call. So a minute and a half to go. Detroit with the football, 3rd and long yardage. They need 15 now, trailing 3-0. Hipple back to throw. He's in trouble. First sack of the ball game. Johnson has him in the grasp. Richard Johnson, who was playing the left corner, came in on the blitz that time, and there was absolutely nothing Hipple could do about it.
Richard Johnson was actually up on the line of scrimmage, and he went in untouched on that particular play. And you see 7 defensive backs, and he utilized their defensive backs in many different ways. In that case, he was up on the line and let him go.
Kansas City and New England jumping out here on the 10-minute ticker to 10-point leads. Washington now leading New Orleans 7-3. No other changes on that panel. Punting situation, Black kicking. Drury back at the 25-yard line for the Oilers. Starts to go to the right side across the 35, still on his feet to the 40. Got a penalty marker down at midfield. So we'll wait for another call here as Black, punting for the 3rd time, kicked it to Willie Drury, and Drury had a nice return that time. The indication you see there coming from the Lions that this one may go against the Oilers. At least Black certainly thinks so. 47 yards on that punt with a 17-yard return, and it looks like they'll bring it back.
Well, it looks like they can't make up their mind.
A lot of confusion down there as the Oilers have both the offense and the defense in the far side around Jerry Glanville standing on the field, and you see Glanville apparently
25 and 23 on the receiving team. First down.
That's what they were waiting for. They wanted to get a clarification of the call. On the receiving team, one of the numbers we caught was 33, Rozier. Checking a couple of other scores, Green Bay with a touchdown lead over Cincinnati, and Cleveland has gone out in front on a Kosar pass to Brennan for a 7-point advantage over Pittsburgh. Cleveland hasn't won in Pittsburgh in ages, if forever, right? There's a streak there on the line that goes back a lot of years, and the Browns are leading in Pittsburgh early, 7-zip.
And also tied for the league in the AFC Central.
So with less than a minute to go, 58 seconds here in the first quarter, the Lions get the first down. They still have the football to 32, their first down of the day. The pass is completed out of the backfield to Jones, and Jones up to the 40 and out of bounds. James Jones and Gary James in the backfield, and that can become a tongue twister. Jones last week caught 12 balls in the 3-point loss against Cleveland. He can do a lot of things for you, Butch.
He can do a lot of things. He's a workhorse. Will run the ball at the middle. He's not as a prettier runner as Billy Sims, their great running back from years past, but he is effective. He gets you 4 and 5 yards, and surprisingly, as a fullback, which you don't see, is he has the ability to catch the ball.
Handoff goes to James Jones, hit just across the 41-yard line, and the Oilers pull him down. He'll be a little bit short of the first down, so it'll be a 3rd and short yardage situation coming up now for Detroit as we're down to the 35-second mark here in the first quarter. Houston leading on a Zendejas field goal. You see the rushing stats this year for Jones, and we saw his receiving statistics just a few moments ago. Carried 3 times now in this ball game for 10 yards. 3rd and 1 for the Lions in the final seconds of the first quarter. 2 tight ends now in the Detroit formation. Power straight ahead, and the first down is achieved by Jones. So that'll undoubtedly be the last play of the first quarter, and the Lions pick up their second first down. The first one was by penalty. This one puts the ball at the 45-yard line now. From the Silverdome in Detroit, Houston with a 3-point lead over the Lions.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh yeah.
It's the rhythm on the road. It's the pulse on the street.
Pulse on the street.
City and town, a magic sound.
Feel the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet.
That's today, Chevrolet.
You want personal service, and State Farm is there.
I'm State Farm Agent John Monson. Anybody can sell you insurance, but backing it up with service is what really counts. When my customers need any help with their auto, home, life, or health insurance, or they have a claim, they come right to me. State Farm agents don't hide from you after you buy the policy.
And like a good neighbor,
We're there, backing it with service.
State Farm is there.
You've heard about the people of Manville and their goal to be America's best supplier. Best supplier of what? Good question. Best supplier of products like extremely efficient industrial lighting fixtures and highly advanced insulation for some very special applications. Packaging, too. All kinds of wrappers and cartons and carriers. 21,000 people with one goal. To be America's best supplier of products like these. That's Manville.
Searching here for predictions and there for analysis? Oh, the dilemma of choosing the right pregame show. We at NBC Sports suggest you give as much thought to choosing a pregame show as you did when saying I do. Possibly more. NFL 86, the one you'll choose.
Back in the Silverdome, Gary Gerould along with Butch Johnson. We're looking at Darryl Rogers, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and the Lions continue to be frustrated in the first quarter of ball games. This is the 5th week of the NFL season, and they have yet to score in a first quarter this year. Gary James and James Jones, the twin setbacks behind Eric Hipple. Here's Jones powering straight ahead for 5 tough yards right to the midfield stripe. Boy, he is strong. There were men hanging from him once again that time, and he's a workhorse. First game this year in the win against the Vikings, he carried 36 times for 174 yards. So he is capable.
The one thing about him is you never see the first man bring him down. It takes 2 and 3 tacklers. If you're the first man, your defensive back at 175 pounds, you have to be afraid when you see this man running at you.
Just underway, second quarter, 2nd and 5 from the midfield mark for the Lions. Land in motion. Handoff once again. Jones cuts back against the grain, gets the first down as he's down to the 42-yard line in Houston territory. So the Lions for the first time this afternoon exhibiting some ball control now. Keith Bostic with the tackle. Incidentally, in that first quarter, Houston had possession for 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Houston coming into the ball game 4th in the NFL in time of possession. And here we'll take a look at total yards and stats. You see the time of possession figure. Last week, Detroit had the ball for 40 minutes in that loss against Cleveland. Cleveland had it for only 20 minutes, and yet Cleveland won by 3. Tough things to figure out in some of the past games for both of these teams. James Jones, once again, the ball carrier this time didn't have much going, and there's a penalty marker down. Ray Childress in his second year out of Texas A&M. There
Looks like it's against Houston.
79 defense, first down.
Well, Ray Childress wears number 79. He had a hand on the face mask as he made that tackle, so that will give the Lions now possession in Houston territory at the 37-yard line.
Well, when you're in that defensive line, your hands are moving everywhere. You know, sometimes you don't think you're going to put your hands on the face mask, but you're trying to tackle. You don't know if it's a guard or a center you're going against, and all of a sudden you turn up with the a running back's face mask, and sometimes it's an accident. It doesn't always happen.
Less than 2 minutes into the second quarter. Bland the motion back now as Hipple drops back, fires far side, completes it out of the backfield. Gary James still inbounds, now bumped out. See where he actually stepped out, but I believe he got the first down. The official's going to spot the ball just short of the 31-yard line. Gary James, the rookie from LSU, had 8 receptions coming into the ball game.
Abraham, who is the leading tackler there, just misses the tackle. And you can see the explosive speed of Gary James as he rounds the corner. He was not touched by Abrams on that play.
Came very close to getting another 7 or 8 yards, but he just stepped out of bounds. First down for the Lions, their first sustained march of the ball game. Here's Jones, straight ahead power, good for a couple of more inside the 30 to about the 27, 28-yard line. Jones coming in, as we saw earlier, with 339 yards, has scored 4 touchdowns rushing, and his average close to 4 yards per carry, and he's getting a lot of work here in the Dome today.
Well, you see a lot of bodies flying when he runs the ball. You see him going left and right, and you wake up and you think he only has a yard, and he walks away with 3 and 4 yards a carry.
Gain of 3, make it 2nd and 7 for Detroit. Lions trail 3-0. Hipple looking down the middle, completes the pass this time to Bland. Bland at the 16-yard line is pulled down. Coming over to make the tackle is left corner Steve Brown.
That was a nice pass to Carl Bland. Carl Bland was cut 2 times last year by the Detroit Lions and brought back, and they discovered that he is a fine receiver. And he sees his own coverage, and Hipple, this is a good throw. It didn't go high, went right in there. You can see the running ability of Carl Bland. He's considered number 80, a fluid, smooth receiver that can make the big play anytime he goes over the middle. He's courageous.
12-yard gain puts the ball now at the 16-yard line. Another first down for the Lions. We're mixing it up nicely. Now they come back to Jones, and this time he gets only a yard or 2. Brown coming up from the corner made the initial hit. Richard Byrd was also there. Checking the 10-minute ticker to see if there are any changes around the league. Still New England and Kansas City enjoying 10-point margins. Minnesota and Chicago now have gone to the second quarter with no score in that one. Washington still up 7-3. St. Louis with a field goal advantage. And Cleveland has added a field goal now with a 10-point advantage over Pittsburgh. Alvin Moore now in the ball game in the backfield for the Lions. The I-back has the ball straight ahead inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line. Alvin Moore, who just came into the game and with a 5.2 rushing average this season, has limited carries but good explosive power that time right up the middle, gets him inside the 10.
Well, Alvin Moore carried the ball, but what made that play work was the way that Jones came into the middle and looked like he had the ball, and the Houston Oilers defense jumped on him. He's been running the ball so much, and it left the wide open for number 24, Alvin Moore, up the middle on just a delay type of draw play.
Third down, less than 2 to go. The Lions threatening for the first time in this one, trailing by a field goal. And they hand off to Moore again. Same play up the middle inside the 5 as he gets another quick 5. And the Detroit crowd loving it. Keith Bostic with the tackle. And Moore tripping on the artificial turf as he comes back to the sidelines. Has had 2 solid carries. And now the Lions not only have the first down situation, but they're down there where they're looking at a potential touchdown and scoring play. When they've been inside the 20 this year, they have scored 7 of 8 times. 6 of the 7 have produced touchdowns. In the backfield now, Steve Bach, who is a lineman, is a blocking back. Jones with the carry will be short of the goal line. Steve Bach, who can be a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman, that time was in the backfield, number 68, and he was the blocking back for James Jones as they tried the right side and got only about 1.5 yards.
I think everybody down here in the stadium knows who the ball is going to right now. It's going to have to go to the big man, their big gun, James Jones. He's the workhorse. He's going off that right side. He'll go up the middle, and I think he'll carry the ball the next 2 plays.
We'll watch and see if Bach stays in there now. Actually, I understand he was lined up as a tight end. Scott Williams was in the backfield. Checking with one of the Houston defenders here at the goal line. Apparently it was a scouting mission for a contact lens, which hopefully has been found. We have 9:49 to go in the first half at the Silverdome. The Lions threaten. Houston still has the lead.
The Achievers, those who faced adversity and refused to fail. Sponsored by the U.S. Army. It takes more than just size and speed to make it in pro football.
I wasn't drafted. I was a free agent, and I came from a very, unknown football school.
Patriots linebacker Ed Reynolds was cut twice before he finally earned a spot on the New England roster and a championship ring.
You come in with the type of attitude that I can be competitive, and you set your goals and desires on what you want to accomplish, and you do it.
You're reaching deep inside you, so things you've never known. It's been tough, rough going, but you haven't gone alone.
We do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
Hey, First Sergeant. Good morning. Find your future in the Army.
Enjoy the game.
It was a time when very few Americans had experienced the World Series.
You need a hand, Tony.
That was until we televised our first.
Hey, Tony, you finally sprung for it.
Though few will recall our role in the events of that day,
Watch the woodwork.
Anthony Palermo will never forget it. It was the day the World Series came home on NBC.
Welcome home, Anthony.
Once again at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, Detroit Lions with their first sustained march. They have run off 15 consecutive plays. You see that Robert Lyles goes to the sidelines, and we believe to be a contact lens problem. And the goal line defense for the Oilers now digs in. We'll see what Hipple and company come up with. Jones over the top. He's in for the score. His 5th rushing touchdown of the year, and the Lions have taken the lead. In a very impressive 16-play drive, it stuttered getting going, but once it got going, it generated momentum and moved smoothly against the Oilers.
Great lead block by James Jones. He just goes over the top, takes the sky route. And you like to see that in a power black. I don't care who would have came up on him that time. I don't think he would have been denied. He's the type of running back that can overpower you. In that situation, there's no doubt who you should give it to.
Hipple to hold. Eddie Murray on for the conversion attempt from the 10. He's got it. So with 9 minutes and 32 seconds to go in the first half here at the Silverdome, the Lions have taken the lead over the Houston Oilers.
When all the dust has settled, the testing's completed, the review's written. The only real competition for this BMW are these BMWs.
I like your thinking. It's a solution we've been searching for. Well, we've included networking, multi-user systems, as well as PC-compatible workstations and software. And I like your installation, support, training, service. Radio Shack computer centers have it all. I know we can do business.
Tandy Computers at Radio Shack Computer Centers. In business, for business.
Oh! Just like that. This AC copper core spark plug can fire 30 times. That's the firepower today's high-revving car engines need. What about your plugs? If they can't fire for up to 30,000 miles, oh! Maybe you're missing out on peak performance. For the AC Delco retailer nearest you, just give me a call at 1-800-AC-DELCO. Wait for trouble, and you've got it.
Today's game is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. To arrange a thorough test drive, phone your nearest BMW dealer. By McDonald's, it's a good time for the great taste. And by New York Life, to help you get the most out of life.
Well, for the moment, the fans in the Silverdome are happy. The boos have been quieted. Eric Hipple was greeted by boos when he came on the field early. He had an interception that was overruled because of a roughing the passer penalty, and then the Lions got something going, generated a solid drive. Jones with a touchdown, and Detroit with the 7-3 lead. Murray's kick going to be fielded by Drury at the 3-yard line. Willie Drury bringing it out, and nowhere to go. Circling, and he's in deep trouble down at the 6-yard line. Mike Kofer, number 55, the first man down there on the special teams, and the Lions were worried about special teams coverage with Shelton Robinson, and certainly that's got to bring a smile to the face of Darryl Rogers, Butch.
He has to be happy about this progress right here, as this has been their biggest weakness, is their specialty teams. But Mike Hofer comes in there and makes a good play. The first man down has got to throw at the ensuing kickoff returner and make him change direction. That's exactly what he did. That's what made the difference.
First down for Houston with a long way to go as they try to go to work now from the 7 or 8 yard line. William Gay with the tackle as they power straight ahead. I believe that was Rozier that was carrying the football. Yep, he comes up off the bottom of the pile. Kansas City, look at that, has jumped out now to a 17-point advantage over the LA Raiders. Kansas City getting a touchdown pass to Kaufman for their latest score. No other significant changes thus far. Green Bay and Cincinnati now tied, we note, at 7-7. Second quarter all the way around. 8:48 to go second quarter here. Houston with the football deep in their own territory, and Moon firing for the far sideline, almost intercepted at the 26. With a hand on the football that time was Bruce McNorton, the right corner. And Bruce is thinking, oh, I almost had one, Coach.
And they've been maligned, the defensive backs, Bruce McNorton, for one, number 29 right there. You see, have been maligned in the past, but they play a zone coverage. They drop off so deep. They allow you to throw the ball, and then they run back up to try and make the plays. And Warren Moon thought the corner was so far off that he made the throw. The throw wasn't too bad, but he didn't see McNorton come back up.
5 defensive backs now for the Detroit Lions as Moon is faced with third and long, and out of the shotgun, backpedals into the end zone, fires, and this one knocked away. No, almost intercepted again. Devon Mitchell was there. Willie Drury was the intended receiver. So the defensive group for the Lions gets a significant round of applause from this crowd here in the Dome.
Houston drops off into a zone coverage, and you can see number 31 coming up, Devon Mitchell. He's a rookie free safety, comes up and makes the play. That pass was actually overthrown a little bit.
Kicking situation for Lee Johnson. Gets his punt off, fielded inside the 45 by Pete Manley. Manley still on his feet, inside the 20 and down at the 16-yard line. So thus far in this ball game, the special teams doing a heck of a job for Darryl Rogers and the Detroit Lions. And you talk about great field position, the Lions have got it right now.
And this is the one thing Darryl Rogers wanted to do, is get his special teams up. He's brought some of his starters back out, but this is an excellent run. He makes a spin right there and breaks through the middle. You have to have a receiver that's quick in order to run these punt returns back, who is brave and fearless going up the field and headed north and south instead of east and west.
35-yard kick, 29 yards on the return. Lions in Houston territory at the 16. Detroit with the lead. Hipple spins. Handoff goes to Jones, powering straight ahead. He's got 5, maybe 6 yards close to the 10-yard line. Ray Childress there to help out Houston's defensive surge. The ball you see spotted just short of the 10-yard line. So Jones with the power. He had the 1-yard touchdown moments ago to give Detroit the lead. Pickup of 6 makes it 2nd and 4. Chadwick comes out to the near side now. It's Bland split wide to the right side as Hipple takes a look up and down the line at the Houston defense. Here's Gary James, straight ahead, touchdown. If he's in, yes indeed. Well, the Lions think so. Now wait a minute, the officials may spot the ball short of the goal line. They will. The Lions, a little premature. There were no doubt in their minds that the rookie had gotten in for the score, and we thought maybe that was the case, but they spot the ball inside the one. He's going to be about a foot short.
Well, in their last series, they used this play 3 times. They faked the ball to Jones, and it's like a cross-reaction play where James comes back and carries the ball right up the field. They're using Jones as the faker and letting James come up the field and score in the middle.
Scott Williams now in the backfield with Jones. Williams, number 38, 2 tight ends in. Threatening for the score, Jones into the pile, and there's the indication, touchdown. So here in the second quarter, James Jones powering straight ahead. A couple of short bursts, less than a yard, have given the Lions a solid cushion now over the Houston Oilers, and what a dramatic way this ball game has turned around, Butch.
Well, the once maligned or injury-riddled offensive line by Houston is coming off the ball. James Jones, once again, he tries to go up, but you can see Bo Eason flying over. He sneaks into the end zone. But that offensive line is really coming off the ball. It seems like Harvey Salem, who they acquired from Houston, has really come on strong. Of course, James Jones, there he is right there. He's scored a second touchdown.
And the extra point attempt, as you can see, is good. As Murray once again is there. Timeout is taken. We have 6:54 to go in the first half at the Silverdome, and the Detroit Lions now lead Houston 14-3.
You know, Jerry, sometimes I take you for granted. You're a terrific husband, a great golfer, and a super salesman.
Hey, Beth, what is this?
A financial genius. You're not.
Well, I got an idea. Why don't we get some advice?
You put a lot into life. You deserve to get the most out of it. We can help.
Mike Stone, New York Life. Jerry Carrera.
Jerry.
My wife, Beth.
At New York Life, we have the resources to make the most of your resources. We offer a range of financial opportunities, including mutual funds, universal life, IRAs, and limited partnerships.
Jerry, you are making the right choice. And Beth,
Don't settle for less than you deserve.
I know.
Get the most out of life with New York Life.
For all those confrontations with the unpredictable, BMW introduces the ultimate defense, the 535i, with an amazingly agile suspension, a computer-controlled engine that constantly adjusts to changing driving conditions, and an ingenious anti-lock braking system. The 535i, it lets those who take driving seriously peacefully coexist with those who don't.
He is the most enigmatic of athletes. Ask him of his victory and he will praise his partner. Mention his role and he'll reply with a smile, I was just riding to work.
At the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, Darrell Rogers on the left. His Lions lead Jerry Glanville's Oilers 14-3, as you can see. And look at this. Houston had the first six first downs of the ball game. The Lions have come back with 11 and a pair of touchdowns. Willie Drury from a yard deep, bringing it out. In traffic across the 15 to the 17-yard line. We go to New York now, and an update as we'll check in with Bob Costas at NFL 86.
Well, Gary, in the second quarter at Arrowhead, the Chiefs lead the Raiders 17-0. 10 of Kansas City's points set up by Raider turnovers, including this 18-yard run by Boyce Green following a Mark Wilson fumble. In the second, 17-0 Chiefs.
So you know they're getting excited in Kansas City as the Chiefs off to a strong start and the Raiders continue to stumble. That's one of the big surprising scores thus far on this day. Here Detroit coming from behind and now lead 14-3. And the Oilers with Butch Woolfolk trying to find some room in the middle, unable to generate any offense in that play as William Gay was there to trip up Woolfolk.
And you know, the Houston Oilers are going back to what they were doing the last few weeks, not passing on first down. They seem to start running the ball a little more on first down and second down. And Butch Woolfolk hasn't really run the ball this year. You would look for him to catch more passes.
Interesting how the Oilers moved the ball their first 2 series. They got the 25-yard field goal. Then Zendejas missed a 46-yard attempt, his first miss of the year. Since that time, it's been all Detroit. Second down situation now for Warren Moon. Lions showing him a big look. Here they come. Pressure for Moon, who gets it away, and Drew Hill has it at the 50, and he'll go all the way. Oh, what a pass from Warren Moon as Drew Hill goes the distance for the score, and Moon was under an all-out blitz when he got the ball away.
Great touch on that play by Warren Moon. I mean, absolutely fabulous touch. And Jerry Glanville, he's back in the game. I don't think they knew what was going on. Drew Hill, a 1,000-yard receiver last year, comes up with the big play, and it makes Jerry Glanville ease out just a little bit. It's like a hook and go, and you can see right here the defensive back is what we call walking the dog. He's step for step. But no, great throw. You can see it just ease in there. Drew Hill, nobody's going to catch him.
Wow, Bruce McNorton was the defender back there, but once Hill had that football, he was gone, and what a terrific pass from Warren Moon. Here's the conversion attempt. It's right through the middle, and so explosively, Houston, after going down 14-3, has come right back to get back in this one now. 14-10, our score. The Pontiac Silverdome. Stay with us.
Dave,
if you want to risk driving on your old antifreeze another year, you ought to know what you might be getting yourself into. Driving just 10,000 miles on weak, neglected antifreeze can cause freeze-up and make a radiator look this bad, while a Prestone radiator looks this good. So for maximum protection, don't push your luck. Change it once a year, every year, with fresh Prestone. And don't you be left out in the cold.
Panasonic, the future of office automation. Advanced equipment with an extraordinary concept. The easier, the better. Panasonic Genesis copiers are most sophisticated yet simplest to use ever. So easy, they automatically adjust for proper size and exposure. All you duplicate are your copies, not your efforts. Panasonic Genesis copiers. Like our typewriters, computers, and peripherals, the easier, the better. Panasonic Office Automation.
You know, the weirdest things happen to me, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I mean, here I am stocking up for Halloween. I got my steaks, got my ribs. Then when I ask the stock boy where the Coors Light is stacked, he points me to the Coors and Coors Light Halloween display, and I'm on it. Whoa, it was like deja vu. Whoa, it was like deja vu. Look for it where you buy beer. I shop here because they slash prices. There goes another one. Happy Halloween, darling.
Next Sunday, the NFL plays here when the New York Jets battle the AFC champion New England Patriots.
Then doubleheader action continues on NBC.
When the Seattle Seahawks battle the Los Angeles Raiders.
Before your team takes the field, our team hits the air. NFL 86.
Gary Gerould along with Butch Johnson back at the Silverdome, where Houston explosively on an 81-yard touchdown pass from Warren Moon under an all-out blitz to Drew Hill has put the Oilers right back in this one now as Lee Johnson gets set to kick off for the Oilers. Driving the ball deep. Herman Hunter, standing about 6 yards deep in the end zone, elects not to bring it out. And Butch, let's take another look at that spectacular and explosive scoring play.
Well, Warren Moon's coming up to the line. He saw Demetrius Johnson, number 21, on the blitz. He knew immediately he had to go to his outside receiver. This is Warren Moon's longest touchdown throw of his career in the NFL, and Drew Hill's longest touchdown catch in his career. So it's the first for both the quarterback and the receiver.
Moon throwing for his 5th touchdown of the season. It was the 2nd touchdown reception by Hill, and you see Moon talking on the far sideline now as the Lions go to work from their own 20. Detroit with a 4-point lead here in the late second quarter. Hand off to the rookie James, straight ahead for a couple of yards to about the 22-yard line. 5:37 to go here in the second quarter at the Silverdome. As we take a look now at the 10-minute ticker, New England up by 17 over Miami, and the Raiders, as we heard earlier, trailing by 17 in Kansas City. Chicago has finally scored to break the deadlock with Minnesota. Other activity around the league, no significant changes. New Orleans has added another field goal. And still tied, Green Bay and Cincinnati, and Cleveland enjoying a 10-point advantage in Pittsburgh. Second down now for the Detroit Lions and Eric Hipple. Hipple backpedaling. Has time in the pocket. Looked off one man, then threw into double coverage intended for the tight end David Lewis. Keith Bostic was there. Hipple stood a long time in the pocket before he let that one go, and then when he threw it, it was right into double coverage.
Well, actually, it wasn't. It was the only throw he had. It wasn't that the Houston Oilers defensive line was putting so much pressure on him. It was a fine job that the defensive backs for the Houston Oilers were doing. They had everybody covered man for man. That was a desperation throw before he got sacked.
So the Lions will need a good 8 yards now if they're to get the first down. We'll call it 3rd and 7. Hipple looking up and down the line. A little movement there as he changes one of his setbacks. Herman Hunter. Here comes the blitz once again. Hipple rolling out, has time, completes the pass. Chadwick at the 48-yard line, out of bounds. Bostic was over there in the coverage, but Hipple did an excellent job of avoiding the rush that time as he rolled right and put the ball on target to Jeff Chadwick.
And Jeff Chadwick, we knew yesterday going into this game, this was his best route, was a corner route. And Eric Hipple is taking advantage of this. He shortened down the field this time by rolling out, taking the pressure off of him. And you can see that he breaks to the corner. Jeff Chadwick keeps his feet in bounds, and that's good for a receiver. Able to know where he is on the field at all times, very aware.
Chadwick from Grand Valley State here in Michigan, a smaller school. 26-yard gain, moves the ball out to the 48-yard line. Here's James across midfield into Houston territory, pulled down at the 47. Possibly leaning forward to the 46. We see Grimsley in there on the bottom of the pile. I want to remind you that we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of this contest. And right now, that one, of course, it's early, is wide open. It's up for grabs.
It certainly is.
At the 46, 2nd down now for Detroit. 4:20 to go in the first half. Lions leading Houston 14-10. In motion, Carl Bland. Hipple hands off to Jones. He's been the workhorse once again on the ground, working the left side of the line, gets a couple of yards. That's the 12th carry of the ball game for James Jones. He carried 36 times in the season opener against Minnesota, so he likes the work. And we mentioned also that last week he caught 12 passes in that loss of 3 points against Cleveland.
Well, when you work a running back this hard during the early part of the year, you have to wonder how he's going to sustain through the later part of the season. You know, you hate to see your running backs carry 30, 40 times a game, but they feel James Jones can handle the load. Strong, efficient, and he's an excellent runner, so why not give him the ball?
Timeout has been taken by the Houston defense. That's their first timeout, as you get the indication from our referee, Tom Dooley. So we've got 3:37 yet to go in the first half. It'll be a 3rd and 1 when we come back for the Lions to lead Houston.
He was my little brother, and I tried to teach him all I could. But you know, I learned a lot from him.
She was my big sister, and no doubt about it, she was tough. But now I know why. It's because she really loved me.
He had this big dream to play for the National Football League someday. And I told him, right, Steve, you got 2 chances, little and none.
She was always dressing up and playing make-believe. And I thought to myself, Olivia become an actress? Well, today, she's a star of Miami Vice.
Today, my little brother, Steve, is a star cornerback for the NFL's Houston Oilers. And he's still my little brother. But the love that we have for each other is very important to us.
And that same love is what these folks are all about. They're all big brothers and big sisters to these children.
And with your support of the United Way, it's made the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program become possible. Whether it's in Houston or in Miami, the United Way is there.
So we can say, thanks to you, it works for all of us. The United Way.
Yay!
This message furnished by the National Football League.
Well, with 3.5 minutes to go here in the first half at the Silverdome, we want to remind you that NFL 86, of course, coming up from our studios in New York. Bob Costas and Ahmad Rashad, Paul McGuire bringing you up to date on all the activity around the league with some interesting features as well. That'll be at halftime on NFL 86. Interesting ball game here. Glad to have you along today as we look at Jerry Glanville, the head coach of the Houston Oilers, a former assistant with the Detroit Lions, spent 3 years in Detroit. Handoff straight ahead. Breaking a tackle that time is Alvin Moore. And Alvin Moore, the 3 times he's carried the football, has found himself in the Houston secondary. And he has been exciting in this ball game.
Well, they changed up a little ways this time. Instead of running to the right and handing off to the halfback, they think again and they run left. And you can see him just creep through the hole. It's good blocking line play. Actually, that's happening down there as the line has been very impressive today. Not only the running backs, but the line play has really been impressive with trap blocks and double teams.
James Jones had a good block on that particular thrust by Moore that moved the ball to the 34-yard line and gives the Lions a first down. Here's Moore again. Inside the 30, tripped up, a little unhappy. He thought that if he could keep his feet, he might be able to get some extra distance out of that one. One of the Oilers a little bit slow getting to his feet down there now as we check the 10-minute ticker. Still 17-point leads for New England and Kansas City. Chicago has added a field goal now by Butler to go 10 up on Minnesota. No major surprises in Chicago. Everything else looking fairly the same as what we saw before. Pittsburgh on a Malone touchdown has now scored. Malone from 1 yard out to make it 10-7. Cleveland leading the Steelers. Here's Alvin Moore carrying once again, and this time Houston ready for him. Alvin Moore, a 4th-year player out of Arizona State, played collegiate football for Darryl Rogers, who, of course, was a coach at Arizona State, as we approach the 2-minute warning here in Pontiac.
Very impressive half as far as running the ball by the Detroit Lions. They've used 3 running backs. They used James Jones and Alvin Moore, and they've tried to use Gary James going sideline to sideline, catching the ball occasionally and running the ball.
We've reached the 2-minute mark here at the Silverdome. Detroit in possession and with the lead.
Time to play! McDonald's NFL! Kickoff payoff! Oh, boy! You collect these cards of your favorite NFL stars. Oh, like him?
Every kickoff payoff card is a winner. Win great McDonald's food prizes.
Winning cards must be redeemed by the following week.
So hurry into McDonald's.
New winners every week at McDonald's!
Rub off your kickoff payoff coupon and win great McDonald's food prizes. Then hurry back to redeem your coupon and collect more. NFL kickoff payoff. Every card's a winner.
The BMW 735i is one of those rare luxury sedans engineered by driving enthusiasts. While other luxury sedans announce to the world you've arrived, the new BMW 735i offers you the considerable advantage of arriving a bit sooner. For a test drive, contact your local BMW dealer.
Nearly 80 million people have the security of health care coverage when and where they need it. They couldn't picture their lives without it. Could you?
2 minutes to go in the first half. Detroit leading by 4. One of the impressive things, I think, Butch, has been the play of the offensive line, and this is a line that had a lot of injury problems, as you alluded to.
They've had a lot of injuries the last few weeks, and that's been a big problem for them. Probably the major weakness they've had. But all of a sudden today, they've been very impressive. They've been running the ball left, running the ball right, using their running backs, and not really having to go to that passing game up until this point.
They have 4 linemen on injured reserve coming into this ball game, so it's been a piecemeal project for Rodgers and company. Here's a penalty marker down. Big hole for Jones. Jones close to the 10-yard line. Loses the football. Oilers have it at the 3-yard line. But remember, a penalty marker was down as the play unfolded. Oilers came up with the football. It was Patrick Allen, I believe, who was down there along with Ray Childress. And let's see which way this one's going to go.
Looks like it's going towards Houston's way.
Lions bench clearly thought so.
Offsides! Defense!
Well, let's take a look and see if we can find out where the problem is.
There.
Movement, that's Doug Smith, number 99 in the line, and here's the hole that
it's a very
James
impressive
Jones
run by James Jones, and that left side, once again, the offensive line is overpowering him. Big play there by number 98, who came in and just knocked the ball loose. I don't think James saw him coming from behind, and that's what made the difference. Is you have to keep that ball in tight when you get into traffic, and normally James Jones doesn't make any fumbles.
Lynn Madsen is number 98 for the Oilers. Now, this is one of those rare instances where you have the big gainer, but with the fumble, you have to go back and take the penalty because the fumble was going to give Houston possession. So the Lions still have the football. They're at the 24 in Houston territory. Here's Alvin Moore once again, straight ahead. Getting a couple of yards inside the 20-yard line this time.
James Jones, who was called on that infraction, just came in the ball game. He was replaced earlier today by Mike Golick, number 68, as the nose tackle, and normally Doug Smith plays this position. So maybe he was a little anxious coming in there, his first play of the game. Grimsley and Lyles with the tackle. You see the time here in the lower right portion of the screen. That's remaining in the first half. Detroit with the football and a 4-point lead. 14-10 our score here in the Silverdome. Hipple again sets his ball club. The handoff to Moore out of the tailback position, and this time he's stripped up for a gain of less than a yard, if at all. Richard Byrd was there to make the tackle. Second-year, vastly improved player out of Southern Mississippi. And now the Lions are going to take a timeout to stop the clock with 1 minute and 1 second to go in the first half. Stay with us at the Silverdome.
AT&T, the right choice. On opening day, the Vikings and Super Bowl champion 49ers are tied at 21 with less than 2 minutes to play. Needing a touchdown from the 49er 10, do the pass-happy Vikings cross up the Niners with a run or throw the ball again? What would you do?
We made some changes that I know you are going to love.
Marty, I'll love it when I see it on paper.
Why wait for overnight delivery to make a business decision?
This won't fly, Marty, but my client will.
Fax what you need in seconds over AT&T long distance.
You gotta do more.
It's the most efficient way to send hard copy or pictures most anywhere.
Frank, now you're talking business.
You two are now one super agency.
For all the facts, call AT&T. The right choice.
What did you decide? The Vikings go with a run, and Ted Brown's touchdown confuses the 49ers and provides a dramatic upset win. The Vikings made the right choice.
Gary Gerould and Butch Johnson at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. Detroit with the football, just over a minute to go. 1:01 to play in the first half. The Lions leading 14-10. They have the ball in Houston territory, just shy of the 18-yard line. 3rd down and 4. Herman Hunter has replaced Moore in the Detroit backfield now. Very tight as he steps right up just behind the left tackle, and Hipple backpedals under pressure by Donovan.
Wide open!
Wide open, Hunter out of the backfield, touchdown! Herman Hunter, who had caught only 3 balls this season coming into this game, came out of the backfield, and did you notice in the alignment how tight he was to the line? He slipped through the hole. Hipple got the ball to him, and the Lions have taken a lead of 20-10. And a conversion attempt coming up.
This has to be one of the 2 or 3 plays we talked about to Eric Hipple yesterday as far as blitz is concerned. You can see right there Herman Hunter tight in the line, and he just lost the ball right into the middle where there's nobody. And I think that Houston was dependent on Herman Hunter, who was in the backfield, to block instead of come out.
He did. He, in fact, made a block, then released quickly and wiggled through there. Avoided the traffic and got the pass from Hipple. The conversion attempt by Murray is good. That's Hunter's first touchdown as a Detroit Lion, and a big one for the Lions with 54 seconds to go in the first half. 18 yards on the touchdown pass, and we've got us a very exciting wide open football game going here after kind of a slow start. Butch?
Well, I felt on that particular play right there, the key factor was they were up in the line, and they made this loft in between the zone. Everybody else was picked up man-to-man except for Herman Hunter. Everybody thought the safety, number 21, Bo Eason, was in the line, and he thought he was going to block. They put an all-out blitz on, having the corners go man-to-man. Hunter was released free. Eric Hipple saw it. We talked to him yesterday. He said there was 2 or 3 plays that they were going to try and control as far as the maximum blitz was concerned. They've already used 2 today. Maybe we'll see the 3rd for a touchdown also.
This is a milestone for Eric Hipple. That is his 50th career touchdown today, and he has silenced the Boo Birds here in the Silverdome, at least for the time being. He heard the boos early, but right now he is savoring a 21-10 lead. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Detroit Lions and the National Football League is prohibited. So the kickoff now by Eddie Murray, and this one's going to go out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Penalty marker, of course, flying, and they'll come back and try it once again with 54 seconds yet to go in this first half. We've seen a couple of interesting plays. You saw the one a moment ago with Hunter getting his first touchdown as a Detroit Lion, going 18 yards. The explosive 81-yard bomb from Warren Moon to Drew Hill in full stride. Jones with a couple of short plunges for the Lions. So we've seen a little bit of everything in this one thus far.
With the slow start, you can see Eric Hipple right there, number 17, is back on target, picking up from where he left off the last couple of weeks with all the completions. And he hasn't been hit today, which is surprising. He's been having some problems. He's a strong type of quarterback who's taken a lot of hits, broke his nose earlier in the season, and all of a sudden he's coming out and starting to make those big plays, starting to read the blitzing coverages. And this is making the difference in what the Detroit Lions are doing this game versus other games in the past.
He is such a ferocious competitor. We enjoyed chatting with him extensively yesterday, and as you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, he was really battered in that Tampa game. They say he got hit 11 times, and as you mentioned, his nose being broken, and yet he can, Darryl Rogers was saying as well, he is so tough, he's so strong, he's so durable, and now you can sense the satisfaction that he's enjoying here on the sidelines as we get set to re-kick from the 30. Murray ready, advancing on the ball, and here we'll try it again. Driving it down to the near sideline, and this one again goes out of bounds almost in exactly the same spot. Pinkett, the rookie, watching it go out of bounds.
Eddie Murray, he's the best athlete Detroit has had for a while. And to see him kick it out of bounds 2 times in a row, that's a little discouraging.
He's frustrated at the moment. Let's check the 10-minute ticker while they bring everybody back, and we get set to try it for a third time now. New England on another Tony Eason touchdown pass. He has at least 2 that we're aware of, and now leads Miami by 24. The Raiders have scored. They're at least on the board, still trailing Kansas City by 10. Chicago up by 10 against Minnesota. Elsewhere around the league on this 5th week of activity, Washington's advantage is now 14-6. Philadelphia with a touchdown. Jaworski pass, 7-0 over Atlanta. And Pittsburgh has taken the lead from Cleveland. Malone to Ehrenberg, 6-yard pass has given the Steelers the lead for the first time, and Cincinnati has broken the tie against Green Bay. Here Detroit leading Houston 21-10, and Murray is now backed up all the way to his own 25-yard line, where he'll try to kick it off for the 3rd time. 54 seconds to go in the first half. Let's see what happens this time. This one's going to stay in play. Pinkett at the 9-yard line. Alan Pinkett brings it across the 20. Out to about the 28-yard line before he is hammered down. Making the tackle for the Lions was James Griffin on the special teams, number 34. 20-yard return. So let's see how the Oilers utilize the remaining 47 seconds of this half, whether or not they'll try to strike deep immediately. Remember, the last time they had the football, it was 81 yards, bombs away from Warren Moon to Drew Hill. Touchdown. They operate from their own 28. Givens out to the near side. Pinkett in the backfield along with Woolfolk. 3 wide receivers. Willie Drury also in the ball game. And Hill on the far side. Moon with time fires to Woolfolk. Woolfolk has the ball short of the 40 at about the 37-yard line. Brought down by Angelo King.
And Detroit that time is just dropping off into deep zones. Obviously, they don't want them to get the big play.
In the hurry-up offense now at the 32nd mark. Here's Moon backpedaling again. Again with protection down the middle. This one tipped. Getting a finger on the football was James Harold. Batted that one away.
Now, that was a dangerous throw, almost costly. Could have been intercepted by number 58, but it wasn't. And luckily for Warren Moon, he should have went to the outside. You want to stop the clock in this situation and move down the field. So you should keep the ball outside instead of trying to go over the middle where most of the defenders are.
2nd down and a yard needed. 22 seconds to go, and you see the number of timeouts left for each team here as we wind down in the final moments of the first half. Moon working out of the shotgun. Detroit dropping everybody off except 3 down linemen. Moon with plenty of time. Again down the middle. He's got his man at the 36-yard line. Trying to slither away was Willie Drury. And now a timeout will be taken as Moon went down the middle for the 2nd time. With 12 seconds to go, the Lions take their second timeout of the half. We'll take another look.
It's a two-deep zone where the safeties go back to the outside, and they left the middle wide open. Plenty of time by Warren Moon. The Houston line is doing fine. You can see Drury come over the middle. There is nobody clearly around him. You can see the safeties just coming back into the field of play. Zone coverage. Warren Moon waited that time until his receiver, Mike Drury, broke right into the open, number 82.
31-yard pickup on that play. You see Drury here on the screen. Drury, a second-year player out of West Virginia. Another one of those little wide receivers, 5'7", 164 pounds.
And that seems to be the tendency right now in the NFL, is to go to those smaller receivers. With Mark Clayton and Mark Duper in Miami, the fine receivers down there, has made the trend. Now everybody wants 5'9" guys that can run 4.3 seconds. Years past, it used to be the bigger type of receivers.
Moon 7 of 14, 192 yards with that one long touchdown pass. You see Jerry Glanville. 12 seconds to go now, Butch. You try to throw it again and get a few more yards. You go to the end zone. What would you do in this situation?
Well, it's 12 seconds. You can go over the middle, get you 10 yards. Make sure Zendejas has enough room in order to kick the field goal in. If you try and go into the end zone, Detroit is going to back way off. They're going to try and protect that end zone into zone coverages. They won't give it to him deep. Warren Moon will have to go short.
Givens and Drury to the near side, Hill to the far side as Moon sets up the throw from his own 40 down the middle, has a man inside the 10, down to the 5-yard line. I think it was Woolfolk out of the backfield. He was smothered immediately by blue jerseys. And the Oilers, with 3 seconds to go, have got another decision now. Do you try to go for the touchdown, or do you take the almost automatic field goal?
When you have a great arm like Warren Moon, who can throw in between those zones, makes it very difficult for defenses to defend. He threw the ball underneath, but he threw it to Butch Woolfolk, a backer. He sent his receivers to the outside in order to clear out that opening zone. If you can take a look at it right here, you can see the linebackers backing up. Warren Moon looks for his back, coming out of the backfield. See how he splits that zone right there? Most quarterbacks can't do that. They don't have the ability to throw it in there in a zone in that type of coverage.
And Woolfolk got an extra 4 or 5 yards after he was hit by 3 or 4 men. And let's look at the reaction of Warren Moon now, who is putting up some pretty impressive yardage numbers in this first half.
Well, if you let this man sit back and have a lot of time, he will pick you apart. Left and right, he can roll out. He has the ability to scramble and also the ability to throw it deep, as we saw earlier with Drew Hill catching that deep pass. So with a quarterback with this much touch, you're going to have a problem if you sit back in those zones and let him pick you apart. But Detroit Lions, they're having a problem in their defensive line. They don't have that great pass rush that they should have in order to put pressure on Warren Moon.
Moon, with completions of 31 and 30 yards, now has the field goal team on the field. Zendejas will try from the 10-yard line. 20-yard attempt is up, and he has got it. So Moon, with 222 yards passing in the first half, gets the field goal. Zendejas from 20 yards away, and the Oilers get 3. An interesting ball game here at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, with the Lions, who trailed early 3-0, now on top of this one by 21-13. It's been a very entertaining first half.
It has been entertaining. It's been the way that you see Warren Moon throwing the ball. It's been wide open. We didn't expect for Warren Moon to be able to go deep, which he did earlier with Drew Hill. We didn't expect for the offensive line of the Detroit Lions to be so effective in the ground game today. We thought that the Houston defense would be more effective. But no, it's been just the opposite, the way we saw it coming into the game.
So we've had the long touchdown pass of 81 yards to Hill, a pair of Zendejas field goals for Houston's 13. Jones with a pair of 1-yard touchdown runs, and then the touchdown pass to Herman Hunter out of the backfield to give Detroit the lead. NFL 86 halftime activities will be continuing in a moment. We'll be right back after these messages from your local stations. Halftime at the Silverdome, Pontiac, Michigan. Detroit leading the Houston Oilers 21-13 in a very entertaining first half. Gary Gerould along with Butch Johnson. And in this one, Butch, we've seen a little bit of everything, as we indicated a couple of times. The most dramatic play had to be that 81-yard strike, Warren Moon going to Drew Hill.
Well, it was in a blitz situation also, and Warren reading the blitz made the difference in the play, actually. He read the blitz with the safety coming up, and then all of a sudden he looks up, throws the ball deep, and sees Drew Hill fleeting down the sideline. And you can see the safety number 21 on your left side of the screen about to come in, and he gets knocked off. Warren Moon lays the ball off at the last instance, and the speed of Drew Hill gets beyond the defender and just runs straight down the field. This was his longest touchdown catch of his career, and Warren Moon's longest touchdown throw in the NFL since he's been here the last 3 years.
Second touchdown this year for Drew Hill, and a very impressive one, but also impressive with the Lions, the way they battled back. They got a fine 29-yard punt return from their special teamer, Pete Mandley, and then Herman Hunter out of the backfield got his first touchdown as a Lion receiver, 18 yards. He lined up tight, snuck through the crack, and let's take a look at how they got this one on the board.
Also a blitz call where you could see the defense was blitzing in, and Herman Edwards was in the line, looked like he was going to block, and just freed himself up clearly, and Eric Hipple just released the ball and laid it right into Hunter, who makes the score. So you see two quarterbacks in these instances reading the blitz very well, and then throwing to the open receiver and scoring the touchdown to break the game open.
Let's take a look at the stats. 222 yards passing for Warren Moon, 8 of 15. That's a big number that stands out. And look at how the time of possession has changed. Remember, in the first quarter, Houston had the ball for 9 minutes 45 seconds of the 15. In the second quarter, however, it turned totally around, and Detroit has the big edge in that department. Interesting numbers as we see. We're ready now for the start of our second half of play here at the Silverdome. 21-13 again, our score. The Lions 1-3 coming in. The Oilers 1-3. Both teams, as we mentioned earlier, won their season openers, but then have run into frustration in recent weeks trying to get back on the winning side of the ledger here this afternoon. It's been a freewheeling affair with a lot of points on the board. 34 scored in the first half. Eddie Murray to kick off for the Lions, waiting patiently, standing there. He had a problem on that one series just before the end of the first half when he kicked a couple of them out of bounds. And Willie Drury and Alan Pinkett stand back at the 5-yard line for the Houston Oilers, awaiting the start of the second half of play. Houston moving the ball. You may remember on those numbers we took a quick look at, I believe it was only 27 yards rushing by the Oilers in the first half, and Detroit has done a real good job. Last week they held Cleveland to 84 total yards rushing, but they held the Browns to just 10 yards in the first 3 quarters. So their defense against the ground game has been impressive thus far in this one. Warren Moon, however, has been impressive with 222 yards passing. Here we go, third quarter underway now. Driving the kick up 2 yards deep in the end zone. Drury bringing it out for the Oilers, and not very far. I think that Darryl Rogers got the message this week to his special teams. They've done the job in this game thus far.
They've done the job, and Erie Murray kicking the ball down the field. He was rookie. He made the all-rookie team, was MVP in the Pro Bowl his rookie year. Nice deep kick, but the specialty teams have really responded very well to the challenge that they've had. They had a punt return against them last year.
The man who made the tackle, incidentally, first time for him to wear a Lions uniform in a game, Paul Butcher, who was just put on the roster 2 days ago, and he is from Wayne State University here in the Detroit area, so you know that had to be a great thrill for him. First time here in the Dome to make a tackle. Now let's see what Moon comes up with. Tries Rozier off the right side of the line, gets maybe a yard or so, and that's about it. Vernon Maxwell stuffing the hole there to make the tackle. Pick up on the play of just a couple of yards. Moon has not been sacked in this ball game today. In fact, I believe there was only 1 sack in the first half. That was by Houston. They got to Hipple 1 time early. You see the number of sacks in the last 2 weeks. Warren Moon sacked free the first 2 games of the season, then hit 13 times in the last 2 ball games. However, today the Lions haven't been able to get to it. Here's Wolf with some fancy footwork, gets out close to the 20-yard line. He had to work hard to get about 4 yards that time.
Once again, we saw the linebackers coming in on that play. Number 55, Mike Colfer, penetrating the line. And we saw that early in the first half, him penetrating the line on the first play of the game and making a play. And this time he comes back out again.
Detroit now bringing all those defensive backs. You see Maxwell and Harrell, the linebackers, coming off. They put 7 defensive backs out on the field in this situation now, anticipating the pass on 3rd down by Houston. 3rd and 4, just underway, 3rd quarter. Detroit leading 21-13. Moon with time, fires incomplete at the 40-yard line, and making a great catch is the rookie Ernest Gibbons. Concerned for a moment as it looked like one of his legs may have been folded back under him on the tackle, but he bounced right back up.
Looks injured a little bit, like his ankle is starting to bother him, and he got caught underneath that defender. Good man-to-man route. You can see Warren Moon going back. Excellent protection. He steps back up in the pocket. Man-to-man coverage. Great catch by the rookie. But you can see that left ankle looked like it got caught under the defender's leg. Dwayne Gallimore, number 40.
And Givens, you see him going off on the far side. Dwayne Galloway, the defender there, is quite a story himself. He's out of Arizona State, a first-year player. Coach Rogers just says it's amazing that this guy just doesn't look like he's capable of playing in the National Football League. But he is doing a job in place of the injured Bobby Watkins. Here's Rozier, right side, nowhere to go. Galloway is there on the tackle. A man who was cut by a team in the USFL, cut by a team in the Canadian Football League, cut by the Indianapolis Colts, and here he is now in a key role for the Detroit Lions, and he's getting the job done.
What made that happen was the play of the defensive line. You could see them sliding down the line, trying to let the linebackers make the tackles or the corners, and they just had everybody held in. They just held their positions. They played a gap type of defense. They just sit in those holes and wait for the running backs to come to them.
So it's 2nd down and 11 for Moon and the Oilers. Fires the pass complete to Rozier out of the backfield up to the 49-yard line. Bruce McNorton with the tackle. And it was a good thing McNorton was right there, because Rozier, with that quick move as he caught the football, could have popped for some extra yardage.
Rozier did a good job on that particular play. And what he did was he just sat in the zone and just waited till Warren Moon hit him. He didn't try and run across the field too fast. He just slowed up his pass route, turned around in between two defenders, and then did something that all good running backs do, go north and south up the field.
Saw Tim Smith was in on that last play, one of the few times that he's been in the offensive set this year. He goes out of the lineup, and the Oilers now go to the double tight end situation. Rozier with a call to midfield. He's going to be very close to the first down. Looks like he may have gotten enough for the first down. We'll see where the spot is. Right on the yard marker at the 50-yard line, and that should be enough for the first down. It is. So the Oilers now trying to move the length of the field here after they started deep in their own territory to open second half of play. 21-13 our score. We've played just 4 minutes now of the third quarter, with the Lions leading Houston in this one. See the stats for Rozier. 16 yards is all he's been able to generate thus far. He's trying again. He loses the football, and the Lions have it. Mike Kofer with the hit, and I'm not sure who was on top of it just yet, but the Lions have forced the turnover. James Harrell comes out of there with a football in his left arm.
And with a broken hand. He said he couldn't catch interceptions, but he sure can recover fumbles.
Well, let's take a look at the hit once again on Rozier as he tried to come left into the arms of Mike Kofer. Number 55 stripped the ball away.
Nice play by Kofer, and Harrell with that broken hand pounces on the ball. And Detroit did a good job of stringing out that team once again, the offensive line.
So the turnover gives the Lions possession at the Houston 49. Hipple goes to work with James Jones. Jones running room left side down to the 40-yard line. Picks up almost 10 on his first carry before Bo Eason is over there to bump him out of bounds.
Jones did that on his own. The play was designed to go up the middle. He saw it clogged up. He decided to go inside, then step back to the outside. And Darryl Rogers, you can see him smiling for a change.
Yes, indeed. Detroit Lions, as we mentioned, they beat Minnesota on the road to start the season. Then they lost to Dallas here 31-7. They lost to Tampa Bay 24-20, a game that the Lions felt they definitely should have won. Lost to Cleveland last week 24-21. Now lead Houston. Pitch out comes near side to Gary James. James breaks away from one man. The 35 loses the football. The Oilers may have it back. Let's wait and see. I think they're going to rule that he was down. The knee was on the ground before the ball popped out of there. It's still Detroit's ball. So a break for the Lions. Jerry Glanville across the way was hoping that perhaps his defense had forced the turnover right back.
James, who they wanted to get this year to give them that outside speed, is holding the ball a little loosely. And you can see Keith Fossick, number 25, coming in to clean up on the play and calls the fumble.
Robert Abraham was the man who made the initial hit there and was trying to strip the ball away, and the Lions get a bit of a break as they're still in possession. There's movement on the far side, however. Chadwick jumped. Penalty markers all over the place as Chadwick missed the snap count that time, and he was fully a yard off the line of scrimmage. Lyles was there on the bottom of the pile for the tackle, but the Oilers are going to say take the penalty, and we'll step this one off against Detroit.
Offside, 89 offense, first down.
Jeff Chadwick guilty of the infraction. So the Lions are moved back to the 40-yard line as we get set to take a look at the 10-minute ticker, keeping you posted on week number 5 around the NFL. New England with another field goal, leading Miami now by 27 points. Don Shula team looking at a 1-4 start, and that's amazing in itself. The spin and the handoff inside to Alvin Moore. Not much work in that time for Moore. We'll take a look at more scores around the National Football League. Washington still up by 8 over New Orleans. Philadelphia adds a field goal to lead Atlanta by 10. Giants and St. Louis in the third quarter in a low-scoring game at 6-3 there. And a couple of other AFC games. Cincinnati, after trailing early against Green Bay, now leading the hapless Pack by 20. And Cleveland is back on top of Pittsburgh by a field goal at 17-14. Second down, and roughly 13 yards to go now for Eric Hipple and the Lions. Here comes the blitz from the backside, gets the pass off to Jones out of the backfield, the 36-yard line, but a penalty marker is down. Robert Lyles and Steve Brown providing some coverage, and this one too is going to go against the Detroit Lions. At least that's the preliminary indication. There was heavy pressure from Johnny Meads, who was coming around behind Eric Hipple that time. He wasn't able to get to him.
Holding 75 offense, second down.
Lomas Brown, the fine second-year tackle on the left side of the line. He was on the all-rookie team last year. Gets the call this time that moves the Lions back right about to the point where this drive started when they recovered the fumble. They're at the 48 now in Houston territory.
And this kills the offensive team. When you come out, you recover a fumble, starting to drive down the field, and penalties are pushing you back rather than the defense you're facing. And it just demoralizes the offense on the field and makes your defense on the sidelines get a little worried too.
In that I formation, Jones the up back, Moore the deep back. Hipple with a little play action fake to throw. Down the middle, completes his pass. Carl Bland at the 34-yard line. Steve Brown with a tackle. Bland running a nice precise route, was wide open and has the ball, but he'll be short of the first down. But a good pickup nonetheless.
Man-to-man coverage right here, and he's working against Steve Brown, number 24. Hipple sees him, defeats the man-to-man coverage. Carl Bland, who has those nice, smooth, crisp patterns, does a nice move on Steve Brown, loses him, catches the ball.
3rd and 8. Bland with his second reception of the afternoon. You see a total of 27 yards. Len Thompson now in as a third wide receiver for the Lions, who also have Hunter in the backfield now with Jones. Hipple trips and falls, backpedaling. That's one of the things that you'll see from time to time on the AstroTurf. Just happens, and you stub a shoe on there, and it's easy to go down.
And this turf is very sticky. It's made in 4 different directions, where usually AstroTurf is made to go one way or the other and lay flat like a rug. But this AstroTurf is intertwined, and it goes in every direction. So if you come off in the wrong way, you can see it was so tight that the shoe came off, that it's just going to make some mistakes. And you can see him right here working back, and he gets his foot caught. Actually, he gets stepped on by the center.
Yeah.
But this is going to happen, and you don't want to see it happen too many times. It should be a good snap between the center and the quarterback every time.
Mike Black standing, awaiting the snap for the punt at his own 47-yard line. Willie Drury in the deep spot for the Oilers. Black gets a high one. Not going to go real far, but he really hangs it up high. Now looking for the bounce. One of the Oilers calls for the fair catch. It's Drury just inside the 10-yard line. So Black hung that one way up there, and there was no opportunity for any type of a run back, and that's exactly what Darryl Rogers wanted in that situation. Only a 29-yard punt, but still very effective. Houston, trailing by 8, comes back with a football.
Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By RCA, technology that excites the senses. And by your Blue Cross and Blue Shield plan, who reminds you to carry the caring card.
Lions 21, Oilers 13 at the Silverdome, Pontiac, Michigan. Gary Gerould with Butch Woolfolk. Happy to have you along on this 5th week of the National Football League season for 1986. Warren Moon going to work with 222 yards passing in the first half. Starts now at his own 10-yard line. Oilers turned it over last possession, but Detroit couldn't capitalize. Moon in trouble, scrambles away from Ferguson, hits the pass out to Jamie Williams, and he'll go down for a 6-yard loss. Keith Ferguson with heavy pressure on Moon that time. They completed the pass to Jamie Williams, but it still goes for negative yardage.
Jamie Williams was going against his old teammate, Jamie Williams. They're both from Nebraska. and did an excellent job there. Just picked him up heading into the zone, but almost a safety there, Gary.
Keith Ferguson, who has 3 sacks this year, was a linebacker in college at Ohio State, had heavy pressure that time, one of the few times today that Moon has really had to scramble. Here comes pressure again. Moon throws this one away. Penalty marker is down. Givens was in the vicinity of the ball, but Moon had to hurry because somebody had a hold of his jersey, and I could be close to being in the grasp. Preliminary indication of a hold against Houston. Tom Dooley, our referee, will give us the determination here in a moment.
Holding, number 72 offense. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
That's the right guard, Kent Hill, newly acquired in the trade involving the quarterback Everett to the Los Angeles Rams. Hill, who incidentally is the 6th player that the Oilers have used at right guard in this only the 5th game of the season, guilty of the hold. So that's going to make it 3rd down. The ball is spotted at the 6-yard line, so the loss was only 4 yards. 3rd and 14, and the Lions have got defensive backs all over the place. They got 7 of them out there right now. Moon again from the end zone. Fires deep. Looking on the near side. Completes the pass, and look out. Ernest Givens out of bounds at the 35-yard line. The rookie with the blazing speed on a simple streak down the left side, and Warren Moon got the football to him just as he did to Drew Hill earlier. Wow.
The kid has that world-class speed, 4.36. He can run. Now, this is surprising to me because it's a zone coverage. You can see the defensive back isn't even in the picture. He's way deep. And still Givens comes up with the play. Warren Moon lays it in perfectly, and Givens just shows that speed. Now, though he gets tackled, but still, why is the defensive back getting run by in a zone? He's supposed to back way up. It's 3rd down and 15. He should have been behind, but Givens comes up with the heads-up play, and Warren Moon laying the ball in nicely.
60 yards on the pass to Givens. Bruce McNorton was the man he beat. Here's Butch Woolfolk struggling for a yard now at the 34-yard line. And the Lions, Butch, had all those defensive backs, but McNorton simply couldn't keep up with the speed of Givens.
They had 7 defensive backs in the game, 2 on the line. And you can see number 29 backing up. He should have been way back, but instead he slows up, doesn't think he's going to throw it deep. Safety doesn't get there. Number 31 doesn't get there. Devon Mitchell, the rookie, and he had been beat before. We had heard earlier that Devon Mitchell was staying deep. And in this case, he didn't pick up the play, and neither did the cornerback who was guarding Ernest Givens. He makes the big play, 60 yards.
Here's Moon once again firing over the middle, completes another one. Ball knocked away at the 25-yard line, and I believe the Lions have it. Jamie Williams was the intended receiver, or Woolfolk was there as well, and the Lions have the football. Vernon Maxwell, and what a turn of events just when the Oilers were looking downfield, and you credit Moon with a couple of big plays. Let's take a look at how this one unfolded.
Well, it's a sandwich. Warren Moon throws the ball in there. He's very accurate today. And you can see the big play by number 21 coming in, upending Jamie Williams and causing the fumble. That was Demetrius Johnson, the strong safety, who is also their 3rd leading tackler on their team. So a lot of running backs are getting down there to Demetrius Johnson.
It's one of those situations where you get the second look and you wonder, did he really have possession? He didn't have that ball very long, I'll guarantee that.
No, not at all.
There's the indication being announced right now. He did not have possession. The replay official has taken a second determination, or made a second determination. Look at Darryl Rogers. That was an incomplete pass.
This is one time.
So there's the instant replay.
And let's look at it very closely. He looks like he has 2 hands on the ball. Did 2 feet come down? Yes, 2 feet came down, but he was fumbling the ball. And the ruling is, if 2 feet come down, then it should be a reception.
But
he
has
juggling
possession,
in the ball, he didn't have possession of the ball all the way. And that's the reason why the instant replay booth, they said no good.
Well, they changed the call from the replay a few moments ago, and so Houston will retain possession. And a big decision has been made right there by the officials in that curtained off booth up here on the press box level. Let's take another look from this angle.
You can see he has the ball right there, but he's juggling it. But 2 feet are down, but he's still juggling the ball. No possession. That's a good call by the NFL official up in the booth.
I'll tell you, it was a good hit put on Jamie Williams, too, by Vernon. I believe it was Vernon Maxwell that was out there with that particular hit. Oh, Demetrius Johnson, I'm sorry. The strong safety who came up to make the hit.
Maybe the official was looking at Demetrius's hit. He wasn't looking at the ball.
Houston's ball. Indication from Tom Dooley that the ball will be spotted at the 34-yard line. 3rd down. Glanville with a sigh of relief on the far side. Detroit fans unhappy with the call. Warren Moon's passing yardage now for the day, 308 yards, which is far over his season best this year. His previous best was 264 yards against Cleveland. Moon is now over 300 yards for the first time this year. He's facing 3rd and 10 right now in Detroit territory, and the Lions have 6 defensive backs on the field. Here comes the Lions in a blitz. They pick it up. The pass is complete. The Hill steps out of bounds. It's complete inside the 20. Now, wait a minute. No, it's not going to be complete. And Drew Hill is really unhappy, as you can see, and he's just cost himself and the team a penalty. Woolfolk wisely gets him out of the way over there. Hill thought without question that he was in bounds. Let's take a look for ourselves.
One room reads the blitz. Drew Hill breaks out. Now let's check his feet. Looks like he catches the ball very easily. He cradles it. 1 foot in. No.
2nd foot out. Of course, what Hill, I believe, was arguing was the fact that the defender pushed him out of bounds. In that case, if a defender pushes you out of bounds, it can be ruled a reception. But they determined in that particular instance that he got 1 down inbounds, the other one was out of bounds, and now the penalty being stepped off as we take another look.
You can see the defender coming in, but he still had room enough to get those feet in. Receivers are taught to keep their feet together near the sideline. So I think in that case, it was Drew Hill's fault that he didn't keep his feet together. He would have obviously been in, and he not only cost them the reception, he also cost them 15 yards by arguing with the official.
And the replay people from the NFL took another look, confirmed that it was a good call. The call stands. It's now 4th down and 25. The Oilers are backed up to the Lions' 49-yard line. Pete Manley stands back awaiting the punt at the 10, which will be coming off the foot of Lee Johnson. The barefoot, left-footed kicker almost had it blocked, but he did get it away. High, and it hits and goes out of bounds in the vicinity of the 17-yard line. Lee Johnson almost had that one snapped back in his face, but he got it off for 37 yards. We've got some emotion in this ball game right now. I don't know what Willie Drury's upset about, but he's not an happy man either.
Now they're talking
I beg
about
your
the
pardon. We're looking at Pete Andler, 82 of the Detroit Lions, as we take this commercial break. In the Silverdome, 21-13 our score. Detroit still on top, and Butch, you have to feel that Houston let a great opportunity slip through their fingers there.
Well, there was a big question right there, but Drew Hill, being a receiver, if you jump up and catch a ball and use your hands, I don't think there would have been a question. He tried to cradle the ball and therefore causing his legs to go out of bounds.
Lions in possession, starting in their own territory, sticking to the ground now as they move straight ahead into the vicinity of the 15-yard line as we approach the 5-minute mark. At it right now, 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Detroit with the lead. Hipple with his 50th career touchdown pass earlier in the afternoon to Herman Hunter, and a pair of 1-yard touchdown runs by James Jones. The ball right now at the 15-yard line. That accounts for Detroit's 21 points. Houston with a pair of Zendejas field goals and also the 81-yard bomb to Hill from Warren Moon, accounting for the scoring in this game. Hipple hands off to Jones, cracking off the left side this time, gets out close to the 20-yard line. James Jones in the grasp of Bo Eason, gets close to 5 yards, so it's going to be 3rd and 3 now for the Detroit Lions.
It appears they're going back to their ball control offense, giving the ball to Jones, giving the ball to their backs, establishing some running room, and then going to the pass.
See the numbers for Jones afternoon thus far. 14 carries, 51 yards. His big game was the season opener when he had 174 yards against the Minnesota Vikings. Pitch out comes this time to Alvin Moore, caught from behind by Richard Byrd. Byrd with a good job, and a penalty marker goes down as Byrd was speared from behind. The ball carrier was speared by Byrd from behind. Alvin Moore. And the indication that this penalty will go against the Lions.
Well, you know, the offensive line of the Lions have been doing such an excellent job. This is the first.
Penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
Harvey Salem guilty of the infraction in the interior line that time for the Lions. Salem now, as we mentioned earlier, playing against his old teammates.
Yes, he was. You can see him pulling on the line, number 73, making a good trap block, actually knocking Lyles down on the outside. But this to no avail. The offensive line was good for the first 3 series. Now they're starting to back up a little bit.
Mike Black to
good
punt,
block.
and this one is blocked. It's in the hands, however, of the Lions, and the Lions are going to end up with a first down in this situation. Mike Black, the punter, ends up scrambling for first down yardage. Audrey McMillian was in there to make the block, and Black is being mobbed by his teammates. So what could have been the worst situation possible could have possibly resulted in a Houston touchdown, comes up a Detroit first down. Let's take another look.
And Black has had some real problems kicking out of the end zone. In this case, this is what Detroit was afraid of, a punt getting blocked. But you will not see this 100 times in a season. Mike Black, the ball rebounded to him and him heading down the sideline for the big play.
It hit one of the Oiler linemen in the helmet and caromed right back into Black's arms. And he turns it into a first down at the 40-yard line. Handoff this time goes to Gary James. Not much working. Gets a couple of tough yards. That's about it. Richard Byrd again with a tackle for the Houston Oilers. Let's take a look at scores. Raiders coming back now, trailing Kansas City by just 3. Chicago extending its lead over Minnesota to 13 points. New York Giants have gotten a bit of breathing room against St. Louis. No change in the other scores. New Orleans, Atlanta. And let's check on those 2 AFC games as well and see where they stand. Look at this. Pittsburgh 21-20 over Cleveland now, and Cincinnati still with a 20-point lead at Green Bay. 2nd down and 8. Here's Alvin Moore. He gets it out across the 45 to about the 47-yard line before Robert Lyles drags him down. Let's go back. I think the folks down in the truck have got the reaction from the punter, Black, this time after that most unusual play. Let's take a look at this. This should be very interesting.
Well, you know, he's had some problems up here in Detroit, and they've been criticizing kicking out of the end zone. He comes up with a great play. He says, I don't have to punt the ball. I can run it.
He's still smiling down there. Look at, he's excited, as well he should be. The kicker dreads having a punt blocked. Had not had any blocked this year. Had only 1 blocked in his career. But what is he going to be thinking next time he has to punt? That's what I'm wondering right now. Here's a handoff to Alvin Moore. Nothing going this time at all. Stopped short of the 50-yard line on a 3rd down play. So the Houston defense muscling up. And some of the fans here in the Silverdome not too happy with that series by the Lions as they stayed on the ground. Richard Byrd active on that series as he was involved in all of the tackles. 2nd-year man from southern Mississippi. So Black is right back on the field, this time standing in the vicinity of his own 35-yard line. And we'll see what transpires this time after Audrey McMillian had blocked the punt, only to have it carom off a teammate's helmet back into the hands of Black to turn it into a Detroit first down last time he was faced with this situation. Gets this kick away, and it's a good one. Backs up Willie Drury, and Drury lets it go all the way into the end zone. So a good long boot of about 51 yards that time, but they'll bring it back out to the 20. So a net of 31 for Mike Black. And with 57 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, Detroit leads Houston by 8. We're in Pontiac, Michigan. I'm Gary Gerould along with Butch Johnson. The Oilers get the ball back on the Touchback at their own 20-yard line now. 57 seconds to play third quarter with the Oilers trailing by 8. Moon with 308 total yards passing, trying to add to the total. Sets up the screen. Ball knocked away. Ferguson intercepts, loses the football, fumbles into the end zone. Is it controlled by the Lions? I don't believe so. Eric Williams thought he had it, but it skithered out of his hands, and so they'll bring it back out. And here's where one of the new rules of 1986 may come into play. The ball was intercepted by Keith Ferguson. He fumbled. It went to the end of the end zone. Eric Williams fell on it. The Lions in there pleading their case, and will wait for the officials to unravel and make their decision. Well, this ball game has produced a little bit of everything. Let's take a look.
Jimmy Williams from Nebraska comes through almost clean. Makes the play, tips the ball, goes right into the hands of Keith Ferguson. Now, you like to see a big guy run, but he's holding it loosely. He thinks he's a halfback running with the ball. And it's recovered, but it's out of bounds.
Williams
he has possession.
But then he lost.
Juggled the ball going out of bounds, and that's what causes officials to say no good.
So let's see where the ball is going to be spotted as we come back now to live action, and we'll get the interpretation from Tom Dooley.
We have a Detroit fumble, forward out of bounds. Houston's ball, first down at the spot of where the fumble was.
Well, that's one of those rules that was changed this year that we had a feeling could lead to some confusion. And, of course, a lot of the fans here in the Silverdome perhaps unaware of that rules change. Fumbling forward through the end zone, and it was the Detroit fumble. Houston coming up with possession here now at the 5-yard line. So the Oilers dodge a bullet, but they're back against the wall and trailing by 8 with 46 seconds to go in the third quarter. And you hear a solid cascade of boos in the dome. Here's Pinkett trying to find some room right side. Nothing working there. Luck if he got a half yard, and you can see now the tempers are becoming just a little bit frayed.
Two former teammates, Jamie Williams, number 87, and Jim Williams, number 59, going at it a little bit. The outside linebacker and the tight end.
Eric Williams, number 76, who almost controlled the Ferguson fumble after the Ferguson interception, is apparently injured and is coming off on the near sideline now. Butch, let's take another look now at this unusual play.
Well, you can see the block tip. The ruling on this play is changed from last year. Normally, the defending team, who has now turned into the offensive team because they're running with the ball, would get the ball back. But no, if they don't recover in the end zone, the ball comes back to the first team that had the original possession, in this case, the Houston Oilers.
It's a strange rule, and it's one that has been greeted by solid boos here by this Detroit crowd. Here's a pass completed over the middle of the time in. Jamie Williams, Demetrius Johnson with a vicious tackle as we count down the final seconds now of the third quarter. At the end of the third quarter, our score 21-13. Detroit will be back after these messages from your local station. Ready to start fourth quarter action at the Silverdome. Look at this, New England now. And remember, Tony Eason out of the game with bruised ribs. Grogan in at quarterback leads Miami by 34. Also in that Kansas City Raiders game, there's been a quarterback injury. Wilson is out. Plunkett now in for the Raiders, who've closed back to within 3 of the Chiefs. In the Silverdome, Warren Moon play action fake, ready to pass, in trouble, scrambling, throws it out here, completes the pass to Pinkett out of the backfield. The safety valve paid off that time, and Pinkett gets it out close to the 17-yard line. Demetrius Johnson with the tackle, and this Detroit defense that had produced only 5 sacks in 4 games coming in is creating some difficulty for Warren Moon and the Oilers now. Jimmy Williams had good pressure on that last play. Just underway in the fourth quarter. All of our scoring done in the first half. The Lions 21-13 lead by 8. Moon, who has better than 320 yards passing in this ball game, sets his club now looking at a second and nearly 12 yards needed. Over the middle, completes another one to Pinkett at the 20-yard line. Lions will be happy to give up that short yardage underneath that way right now, because they're looking at a 3rd and about an 8 situation, maybe 7 or 6 coming up, depending on the spot.
Houston doesn't appear to be bringing their tight end into the game. There's wide open zones that the Detroit Lions are leaving them right in the middle, but Warren Moon is looking to his safety valve. The outside receivers being covered very well by the corners in this deep zone. They're starting to come up just a little bit tighter. In the first half, they were a lot looser.
The numbers for Moon, 324 yards. He's looking at 7 defensive backs right now. Last couple times he was in this situation, he came up with a big play. Fires this one in and out of the arms of Butch Woolfolk. Moon that time threw a bullet, and Woolfolk was unable to handle it, so a punting situation coming up now. Devon Mitchell and Demetrius Johnson providing secondary coverage there for the Lions against the intended receiver Butch Woolfolk out of the backfield.
Warren Moon had to put his helmet on his hand at that time because it was a bad pass. It wasn't crisp. The receiver turned out into the zone, and he just threw the ball right behind him, and he's looking in disgust. He knew it was a bad throw. He wished he could take it back.
Oliver Luck with the beard on the left side of the screen is the backup quarterback for the Oilers, as Johnson now awaits the snap to get away his barefoot kick from the 11-yard line. Pete Manley waiting for this one at the 43 of the Lions. Gets across midfield to the 48-yard line in Houston territory. So the Lions get the ball in pretty good shape for field position as they work on an 8-point lead now with 13:18 to go in this contest. A 36-yard punt and 8 yards on the return, that time by Pete Manley, who earlier had a 29-yard return. 21-13, our score here in the Silverdome.
Today's game is brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like Mazda value. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be.
Today's crowd in the Silverdome, 41,960, a slight improvement over the last home game when the Lions attracted only 38,453, which incidentally was the smallest crowd ever to watch the Lions here in the Silverdome. That was in the loss against Tampa Bay a couple of weeks ago. Hipple over the middle completes the pass to Jones out of the backfield. He's inside the 40-yard line on the quick hitter. Donnie Grimsley with the tackle. Houston behind Moon, passing for 324 yards, and up until that last play, Detroit had passed for a total of 84 yards. So they get a 9-yard gain on that one, make it 93, and you get a look at the quarterbacks in this game thus far today. 93 yards right up to the moment for Hipple against the 324 Moon is posted. Handoff goes to Jones. Abraham meets him head on, and yet Jones is able to muscle his way for an extra 2 or 3 yards. Robert Abraham at 236 pounds, not particularly heavy there in the linebacking department, and Jones, who weighs in at the 230 range, was able to move him ahead for a couple of extra yards.
And that's, you see the power of Jones, and Abraham is the leading tackler for the Houston Oilers right now, but Jones just overpowered him. He caught him 4 yards behind, and he just picked him up on the shoulder and carried him 4 yards for a good gain.
And an easy first down to go with it. Lions with the lead, 12 minutes, 10 seconds to go. 21-13 the score. Play action fake. Hipple going deep, looking for Chadwick. Oh, in and out of his arms at the 2-yard line. Hipple really took a hit, too, and Hipple is up on his feet, but his right arm hanging down. He was really nailed as he let go of the ball that time. Patrick Allen, the defender on that play, and Chadwick looked like he had a shot at a touchdown.
Patrick Allen shut down against Kansas City. He shut down number 29, shut down Carlos Carson and Stephon Page of the Kansas City Chiefs, who are excellent receivers, and you can see him right here. He's step for step with Chadwick and strips the ball at the last minute, putting that left hand in and the right hand in. Patrick Allen, great play, number 29.
From the 35-yard line, second down for Detroit now. Handoff goes to the rookie, James. He gets 5 yards inside the 30, maybe to the 29 before Lyle wraps him up. Let's check the 10-minute ticker now once again around the league. 34-7. Marino has finally gotten his first touchdown pass, but the Dolphins in a world of hurt this year, and the Raiders have taken the lead over Kansas City. Chicago still up by 13 in the fourth quarter now. We've got the Giants over St. Louis. No other changes on this particular panel. 24-20. Pittsburgh with an additional field goal. Cincinnati still comfortably on top at Green Bay. Third down and 5 now for the Detroit Lions. Lions would love to convert this one. Here's the draw play. Jones has got the first down as he gets to the 22-yard line. And the crowd likes that particular call as Jones comes up with the yardage. Richard Johnson dragging him down, but not after Detroit gets the first down to keep the drive alive at the Houston 22-yard line. Now, we were talking about the job, Butch, that the defensive secondary has done. Let's take a look at the number of passes now that Eric Hipple has thrown in this ball game. He has completed 7 of 14. No team this year has completed more than 11 against this defense. So Hipple thus far has 7 out of 14. So the Oilers doing the job, but trailing, however. This time it's Jones for a gain of only a yard or so off the left side.
Interesting point what I mentioned about Kansas City. They have great receivers and great speed, and Patrick Allen, Steve Brown, number 24 of the Houston Oilers, Bo Eason and the Batman and Robin crew, they were able to shut them out in the second half, and they caught absolutely no passes. No passes against the Houston Oilers defense last week.
Got a change in the backfield now. You've got Jones and Alvin Moore behind Eric Hipple. Handoff on a reverse, ball knocked loose. Bland can't control it. He falls on it, but once again, the scramble, still fighting, and I saw Bland's arm sneak in there and pull it back. So the Lions went to the bag of tricks for the first time today, and the ball got knocked loose, and Detroit was fortunate to maintain possession. Carl Bland that time on the reverse, lost the handle.
Eric Hipple, we didn't expect to see any gadget plays by them, and you could see why. The defensive linebacker, number 91,
Johnny Meads.
Robert Lyles comes in, and there's a scramble for the play, and Carl Bland looks like he almost came up with the ball, but it was unfortunate. Johnny Meads actually made that play, break off that play when at this handoff he was reading the back.
So the ball moved back to the 31-yard line. Herman Hunter now in the backfield with Jones. Handoff to Jones, going to go to the right side, pulled down from behind as he gained only a quick yard. Lynn Madden with excellent penetration that time as he was in there to help out on the tackle. You see Richard Byrd coming. I beg your pardon, that's Rich Stringer, the right tackle, coming back to the huddle now for Detroit. And you see that Eddie Murray has come on the field. So a field goal attempt that will be a lengthy one in the vicinity of 47 yards for Murray. Murray this year is 4 out of 5 in the field goal department. His long is 51 yards. It looks like this one will be spotted at the 37 or 38-yard line. Tom Tenor is the punt snapper now, and the ball will be spotted by Eric Hipple at the 38. 48-yard attempt on the way. If it's long enough, it's good, and it is long enough. So a clutch effort there by Eddie Murray with a 48-yard field goal gives the Lions some breathing room, and a 9-point, make that an 11-point lead at 24-13. Coming up next week on NBC Sports, hope you'll join us for doubleheader action. We've got a big day in store, of course, starting with NFL 86 at 12:30 Eastern Time. First half of the doubleheader, Kenny O'Brien and the Jets going into Foxborough Stadium to battle the Patriots and some other big games, Denver and San Diego among them, on our doubleheader next week. No run back on this one as Pinkett kneels down 5 yards deep in the end zone, and the Oilers down by 11 at 24-13, have 8:23 yet to go in this one now. Warren Moon, for the 8th time in his National Football League career, has passed for more than 300 yards, but the interesting fact, Butch, is that in the preceding 7 times, he only won 1 time out of those 7 games. 6 times he was a loser when he threw for more than 300 yards. And I know that Warren Moon would be much more interested in the W today than the 300-yard stats. Let's see what he can come up with now, trailing 24-13. Down the middle, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, the tight end, Jamie Williams. Vernon Maxwell, inside linebacker, making the defensive move on that one.
And good coverage by Vernon Maxwell in that particular play.
Vernon Maxwell is a player that Darryl Rogers is very, very pleased with. Max played for him down at Arizona State a few years back. He's in his 4th year in the league, and of course was AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year in '83 when he played for the Colts, but then went to San Diego, now in Detroit, and he has been the major surprise, according to Darryl Rogers, this year for the Lions. Moon on a 2nd down, swings it out to Woolfolk, has some running room, gets out of bounds across the 30. I believe he got out of bounds at the 31 or 32, which would be enough for the 1st down. Bruce McNorton bumping him out across the way, so a 12-yard pickup and a 1st down for Houston.
And that's the reason why they like to throw to Butch Woolfolk. That play has been open quite a bit today. But on this play, I want you to look at Butch Woolfolk's hands. He catches the ball in the hands real low, right in the hands. Now, you don't see running backs with great hands like that coming out of the backfield. And that's why he's used primarily as a pass receiver.
Boone looking to throw once again. Fires, ball knocked away, intended for Drew Hill at the 42-yard line, and McNorton with a vicious hit across the way. Well timed. Fifth-year player out of Georgetown College, only stands 5'11", but Bruce McNorton, number 29, put the hit on Drew Hill that time. A big defensive effort.
Great hit right here. You can see Bruce McNorton coming up on the play. The ball was thrown a little bit behind, but when you see a quarterback and he sees the receiver stop and turn around and he can make a hit on there, it intimidates you.
And you're the man that should know after 10 years in this league at that position. Second down 10. Pass complete to Givens. He takes a hit just short of midfield, but he hangs on. Givens was popped by Demetrius Johnson that time and Dwayne Galloway. And Givens hung on as the rookies had a couple of impressive catches today. He can clearly go after the ball in traffic, and that's a first down for the Oilers just short of midfield.
And that's what's impressive. When you see a speedster, normally they're flying down the field. They don't make very good cuts, but you can see him break down and take a blow. He's smallish at 5'9", but he's still he's very able to absorb those big hits.
Demetrius Johnson had 10 tackles last week against Cleveland as we watched the swing pass to Woolfolk left side. And again, Moon has the ball club on the march as he adds to those passing stats. Mike Kofer bumping out of bounds Butch Woolfolk over in front of the Houston bench. We'll see where this one is going to be spotted. 43-yard line in Detroit territory.
Houston doing a good job of mixing it up. When you come up on their running backs, they go deep to their wide receivers in the 20-yard range, the 18-yard range. When you lay back on their receivers, they throw it out to the running backs. In that case, Butch Woolfolk.
Second down, about 1.5 yards needed by the Oilers to keep this one alive. A couple of defenders backpedaling, anticipating the throw. There's Givens again, 25, breaks loose from a man inside the 20, pulled down at the 15-yard line. The rookie, Ernest Givens, gathers in another one and broke a tackle. That time it ended up being pulled down at the 15-yard line. McNorton and Mitchell with the tackle.
Prime example of what I was just talking about. A zone coverage, you see the cornerback go off. Givens just sits in the hole, waits for Warren Moon to throw in the ball. On the previous play, they went to Butch Woolfolk. So this time the linebackers came up, gave Givens an area to sit in the hole, make the big play, and run down the field.
Galloway, playing for the injured Bobby Watkins, had a shot but couldn't make the tackle. Moon in trouble, chased by Maxwell. Sidearms it to Woolfolk, has the completion and is pulled down at the 10-yard line.
I mean, what a throw by Warren Moon.
He worked some magic that time. He sidearmed that ball in there. Jimmy Williams with a tackle, and Warren Moon can take great satisfaction there because he had one of the Lion defenders looking him right in the eye.
You can see the strong arm by Warren Moon by the quick release he had. He didn't raise the ball up. He threw the ball sideways underneath a defender. Now watch this very closely. He doesn't raise the ball up. He throws it sideways underneath. Now, many quarterbacks don't have the instincts to do some of the things Warren Moon is doing today.
Second down from the 10, sets it up. Woolfolk, the receiver, gets inside the 10 down to the 7-yard line before he's pulled down. Galloway had the initial launch there defensively, but coming over to actually make the tackle, Johnson and Maxwell. Maxwell's been all over the field. He was the one that put the pressure on Moon in the preceding play. And now the Oilers bring in the extra tight end. You saw number 88, Chris Dressel, coming in there. Darrell Rogers doing a bit of pacing now as he realizes with 5.5 to go in this one, that lead of 11 points, 24-13, a bit in jeopardy right now as the Oilers are at the 6-yard line. Third down, they need a yard for the first down. Handoff goes to Rozier, and Rozier behind a block that time from Kent Hill. Kent Hill was in the backfield as the lead blocker that time. He is normally the right guard, and Rozier trying to get the first down, stacked up very close to that mark at the 5-yard line.
I believe Warren Moon just broke his record just a minute ago when he threw the ball. We have the injury down here.
Well, we're taking a look now. You see McNorton stretched out still on the turf. He's tidying up his socks there, wants to make sure that everything is aesthetically all right while they measure for the first down, and this is going to be very close. Well, you can see exactly how much they lacked So it's 4th down, and the ball game perhaps on the line for Warren Moon, who has passed his career high in the NFL in passing yardage. That former best was 365, but right now all he wants is 2 inches to get a first down. Lions digging in. Moon on the keep, and I don't know that he got it. The initial surge was going to be close. He bounced off to the left side, and the Lions believe that they've kept Houston from getting the first down. Let's wait and make sure and see where the ball is spotted. Looks like it's going to be well short of the 5-yard line, and so the Lion defense has done the job. Well, that's a play that Houston fans are going to think about for a while, Butch. 4:43 to go. The Lions have held. Detroit maintains their lead, and they get the football back. Well, you can tell from the expression on Jerry Glanville's face that things are starting to get desperate in this ball game with 4:43 to go.
And they've had some questions about his play calling, but here the offensive line comes off the ball well. It's Jimmy Williams who breaks in, number 59, on Warren Moon that stops the surge. But the offensive line came off, and when you have 2 inches to go, give it to your quarterback. Don't take a chance and fumble the ball. It's a good call.
Lions with 3 tight ends now. Have brought Bach in as an additional tight end, and in the backfield, the handoff goes to the workhorse, James Jones, who tries to give Eric Hipple and company some breathing room. Gets out close to the 10-yard line. No quarterback this season has passed for 50%. No quarterback has completed more than 11 passes. And here you see the quarterbacks that have tried against the Oilers defense this year. But right now, Houston, despite that significantly improved pass defense, is facing a possible 1-4 record if they don't pull out a miracle in this one. Oilers have taken the first time out of the second half, and we've got 4:27 yet to play in this ball game. And you see Tony Eason, who works as one of the safeties, over talking with Jerry Glanville right now. I want to invite you to be sure and join us on Saturday evening, October 18th. And of course, we're talking about the opening of the World Series as NBC proudly presents the 83rd edition of the World Series. Baseball's great moments, first televised on NBC, and our long tradition continues as the National League champions host the American League champs in game number 1. So be sure to tune in at 8 o'clock Eastern for Major League Baseball, an inside look, followed by all the excitement and the special magic of the first game of the World Series. The World Series at home right here on NBC starting on October 18th. Oilers have yet never lost, only 3 previous games, to the Detroit Lions. And Houston back in '83 came up with a big win that broke a 17-game losing streak. That was down in the Astrodome in Houston, their first visit to the Silverdome, and it's not been a memorable one thus far other than the numbers that Warren Moon has compiled. He's rolled up some impressive stats in this one. 398 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He's hit 21 of 35, but right now, when you're down by 11 and less than 4.5 minutes to go, 4:27 precisely, those numbers don't mean an awful lot.
Not at all. I think he'd rather have the win.
When Detroit's got the football. Lions second down now, operating from their own 9-yard line. Still with that tight formation of 3 defensive backs. Handoff goes to Jones. Jones out across the 10 to about the 13, and Houston is calling for another timeout. Jeff Donaldson, Tony Eason in there with a tackle. This is a little bit earlier, a little bit unusual to be calling timeouts in this situation, Butch.
Well, you still have two touchdowns that you have to come back with, and if you can stop the clock here, at least you give your offense team enough time to maybe score those 2 touchdowns, get the ball back. It might seem unusual, but what Jerry Glanville is trying to do is to leave as much time on the clock in order to come back and score those 2 scores. They can't win with a touchdown and a field goal. They have to win with 2 touchdowns. So they have to keep as much time on the clock, hopefully stop Detroit right now, and then get back in the ballgame.
They've shown their quick strike capability. The 81-yard touchdown pass that was completed to Drew Hill in the first half. A couple of long bombs to Givens. But the key to this one has been the play of the special teams of Detroit, and also this goal line stand just a moment ago when Houston didn't get the first down at the 5.
But on the flip side of the coin, if they don't make the first down, if they don't hold the Detroit Lions in this third down situation. Now they're out of timeouts. So this is a chance that a coach takes when he makes decisions like this. And in this case, it might pan out. He's dependent on his defense, who's rated #1 in the AFC, in order to stop the Detroit Lions on this play.
4 minutes and 20 seconds to go when we resume action. The ball will be just short of the 13-yard line. The Lions in possession in their own territory. Crowd of nearly 42,000 here in the Silverdome today, and the Lions hoping that they'll be able to break out of a 4-game skid. They lost their last 2 home games last year, and they lost their first 2 home games this year. Right now, Eric Hipple and company looking at 3rd and 3. Jones tripped in the backfield, actually stumbled before he got started, and the Oilers are going to take their final timeout right now with 4:14 to go. Now that one frankly surprises me.
It really surprises me. I wouldn't have expected them to take the 3rd timeout. They had stopped them. They didn't have to stop the clock. All they had to do was come in, wait for Detroit to punt the ball, and they still had over 3 minutes and 40 seconds, even if they ran 30 seconds down. So that last timeout, I tend to question now. Now they're in trouble. Now they have to throw the ball outside, and Detroit in a zone. There's a big problem in what they're going to have now in this finally closing minutes and 4 minutes left.
Check the ticker. Raiders still lead Kansas City. Chicago now with a 20-point lead over Minnesota. All of these are 4th quarter scores. New England comfortable over Miami. Philadelphia has extended the lead to 16 points over Atlanta. Remember, Atlanta was one of the unbeatens, one of 4 unbeatens coming in this weekend. So things not going well for the Falcons late in that ball game. And that was after a big victory against the Rams, and then those 2 AFC scores, Cincinnati breezing against Green Bay, and Cleveland now back on top of Pittsburgh. That's been a seesaw battle today, 27-24. Cleveland hoping to break a long streak where they have been unable to win in Pittsburgh.
And the Buddy Ryan team in Philadelphia hasn't won a game this year, and that's surprisingly. They come back and they're defeating Atlanta, who's won all 4 of their games prior to today.
Been a very interesting first 5 weeks of this NFL season. And here, a couple of 1-3 ball clubs trying to break out of their roles of frustration in recent weeks. Oilers in trouble now, but they'll get the ball back with 4:14 to go as we look at Mike Black standing a couple of yards deep in the end zone. Here they come after the kick. They don't get it. Back at the 48-yard line, Drury with a football. Got a little bit of room to run. Gets to the Detroit 41, where the Oilers, who are out of timeouts, will now put the ball in play, trailing 24-13. Warren Moon, who has thrown 21 of 35 for 398 yards in this one, will now go to work and try to pad those numbers, but try to get his team on the board as quickly as possible because they do need 2 touchdowns.
And no timeouts left.
Yep, that's the key stat right now. No timeouts remaining with 4:04 to go. Final score now, New England beat Miami 34-7. That one is final. Starting 1st and 10 from the Lions 41. Moon working out of the shotgun, has Pinkett and Woolfolk in the backfield. Scrambling, he's going to keep the football this time, and he's got a lot of running room. Steps out of bounds at the 22-23-yard line. First time that we've seen Warren Moon run totally out of the pocket and keep the ball today, and he turns it into a solid gainer.
He didn't see Butch Woolfolk. He was trying to go to his running back, number 40. He was well covered by the defensive back. So instead of throwing the ball downfield, knowing that he has no timeouts, he just takes off and just gets out of bounds, stops the clock. Smart move by Warren Moon.
So the first down puts the ball at the 22-yard line. A pickup, I believe, of 19 yards on that play. 19, close to 20-yard gain for Warren Moon. 3:56 to go. He got out of bounds and stopped the clock. Oilers working with no timeouts. Moon looking for the end zone. Gibbons is there. Ball is knocked away and almost intercepted. Great defensive effort over on the far side by Bruce McNorton. Moon had the ball there for Gibbons, but McNorton got up in the air and made a great attempt at an interception and almost had a turnover for Detroit.
Well, McNorton just laid off deep. He's playing a deep zone. And you can see Gibbons just go out. He just runs right with Gibbons, step by step. Surprised Warren Moon even threw that ball. Gibbons should have made that interception. Great play by him, and just waited until Gibbons made the break. McNorton should have made the play.
2nd and 10. Houston in Detroit territory. Lions lead 24-13. Four-man rush by the Lions. Moon steps up in the pocket, going to keep it. Remember, no timeouts as he goes down on a knee at the 17-yard line, and the Oilers will have to hustle. 3:38 and counting. You see the time here on the screen as they line up without benefit of the huddle. Third down. They need a solid 4, close to 5 yards. Moon with time. End zone. Ball's picked off on the far sideline. The Lions bringing it out as James Griffin. Griffin at the 10 breaks a tackle, pulled down at the 19-yard line. James Griffin, who led Cincinnati Bengals with 7 interceptions last year, comes up with his first in a Detroit Lions uniform, and that virtually seals the fate, it would seem, of the Houston Oilers.
With no timeouts left, you have to wonder, why do you throw the ball over the middle? Warren lays the ball in the middle where everybody is. There were 7 defensive backs on the play.
And 3 of them right around the intended receiver that time.
Exactly. So you have to question the thinking on that particular play. You want to throw the ball to the outside, try and, if you don't get a completion, at least the ball is thrown out of bounds, or you try and run it out of bounds, but you never throw it over the middle with no timeouts left in desperation and where the whole defense is set up.
Of course, what we don't know is what type of vision problems Moon may have had that time as he set up to make the throws. He stepped up in the pocket. Detroit now trying to use the clock, of course, and they'll just hang on as tightly as they can. Gary James struggling for an extra yard out across the 20. We saw a lot of the folks headed toward the aisles here at the Silverdome. They should be happy after 4 consecutive home losses. It looks like the Lions have this one fairly well in hand. 2:59 to go, and Houston can no longer stop the clock. 24-13 is the score in this one. Eric Hipple has not had impressive numbers as he had the last couple of weeks. He threw for big numbers the last 2 times out and lost. Today he hasn't been able to complete a lot of passes, hasn't had to. Let's check Hipple's stats over here as we get an opportunity as we look at the respective coaches on the sidelines. He is 7 for 14, 93 yards. Darrell Rogers on the right, Jerry Glanville on the left with the football. Gary James for the Lions getting only a couple of yards, which will make it 3rd down and about 6 for the Lions, but counting down toward the 2-minute mark. And that'll be the only opportunity that the Oilers will have to stop the clock, trailing by 11. Looking ahead, Detroit Lions go to Green Bay next week. Then they'll be on the road against the LA Rams. They continue on the road the following week against the Chicago Bears. So they're on the road the next 3 weeks as we now reach the 2-minute mark here at the Silverdome. 24-13 our score. The Lions appear to have this one in command. Well, the 3 previous times that these clubs have met, Houston had been a winner. Doesn't look like it's going to turn out that way today. And Butch, we go back 3 years ago in the Astrodome. There was a big victory we mentioned earlier for the Oilers when they came from behind and knocked off the Lions and broke a 17-game losing streak. But they're not going to have happy memories in this one today. Let's take a look back here.
You can see Oliver Luck going right over to the middle to Dressel. I think it was in the ball game at that time, and Billy Sims in total disgust. And you don't have to worry about Billy Sims doing that this year. I know he's up here in the stands watching his Detroit Lions, but
that was 3 years ago down in Houston when the Oilers won that ball game by a score of 27-17. Today it's been turned around and the Lions are on top of this one and in control at this point. 24-13 with 2 minutes to go. 3rd down, long 6 here now for the Lions, working from their own 24-yard line. Hipple has only put it up 14 times today, keeps it on the ground. James with a pitch out and not much room to work. He'll be well short of the 1st down. James Jones has been carrying on a regular basis. Savon Riley making the tackle. That was the 22nd time for James Jones to carry the football in this contest today. You see the clock counting down. The Oilers can do nothing now to stop it except go out of bounds. They have no timeouts left. And of course, they've got to get their hands in the football yet. The Lions taking all their time now as they bring the punting unit on the field.
And they should take their time. They should just let the clock run out. Even if they take a 5-yard penalty, you know, they get another 30 seconds. So this is what you want to see. Eric Hipple, not the impressive numbers today, but very effective. Very effective today, 7-14. And the first quarterback, mind you, to pass for 50%.
Against the Oilers
tough
this year.
Defense.
I tell you, and things are not getting any easier for the Oilers because now they have to play the Chicago Bears next week. And you can see where you hear the call in the background that the Lions taking the penalty, the extra 5 yards to utilize all of the available 30 seconds. That stops the clock at 1:08. Oilers now have to tangle with the Chicago Bears. Then they go against Cincinnati. Then they meet the LA Raiders. Then they meet the Miami Dolphins. So things aren't going to get any easier for the Houston Oilers, who are looking at a 1-4 record. Here's the kick. He gets it away despite the rush. Willie Drury picks it up back at the 37-yard line. He needs the big return, gets out close to midfield, and that's going to be it. So less than a minute to go. 57 seconds remain. The Oilers trail by 11 in Pontiac, Michigan. While we were away for the commercial break, play resumed. This was the result as Warren Moon went to the air, and once again it was a blue jersey, not a white one, on the receiving end. Bruce McNorton with the interception, and that clearly has done it now as far as the Houston Oilers are concerned. 46 seconds remain. Detroit back in possession at their own 11-yard line, leading 24-13. And of course, Houston with no opportunity to stop the clock, took their 3 timeouts early in this one, and now the Lions merely will sit on the football. Hipple kneels down, and they'll only have to do it one more time, and this one will be over. Moon ends up the day 21 of 38. 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown. If he had been on a winner today with a 398 yards passing, I think he would have been an easy MVP, but that's not going to be the case, and we'll announce our MVP momentarily as the countdown continues here at the Silverdome, as the Lions have merely to kneel on the football, and that one is clearly going to do it. Now it's time for our Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser. Today's Most Valuable Player, James Jones of the Detroit Lions, rushed for better than 70 yards and 22 carries, caught a pair of passes from Eric Hipple. They only completed 7 passes today, but they turned it into a very significant win for the Detroit Lions to snap a 3-game losing streak. Interesting ball game. Most of the scoring came in the first half early, Butch.
Most of it did, and we saw some impressive stats. We saw Houston throwing the ball very well with Warren Moon. We didn't expect that. They've been complaining because they've been a little conservative. They got more aggressive today, passed the ball very well, but still lost the game. And on the other side, we saw the Detroit Lions, who have been injury-riddled in their offensive line. They came through the day. They were very effective running the ball with James Jones, Alvin Moore, and the lot. So Detroit comes away with the win.
And of course, a big goal line stand in there when Detroit stopped the Oilers at the 5-yard line with 4.5 minutes to go. That may have been the pivotal point of this ball game as we take another look now.
Jimmy Williams jumping over, and Warren Moon just couldn't get the 2 inches.
Well, that was the one right there. As the Lions took possession of their own 5, Houston came up with nothing when they were down by 11. Had they gotten the first down, had they gotten the touchdown, it might have well been a different ending. But as it turns out, it's Houston that now goes 1-4 with those tough games coming up, starting with the Chicago Bears next week. And the Lions have kind of got the wolf off their back now, 2 out of 3. We hope you've enjoyed our telecast here today from the Silverdome. It's been a pleasure for me to work for the first time with Butch Johnson in this ball game. This from the Silverdome, our final score. The Lions now 2-3 on the year. 24-13 is our final. Stay tuned for post-game highlights with Bob Costas in NFL 86 after these messages from your local stations.